Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and now I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and John Tortorelli. And this is now episode 407. In this episode, we are going to recap Thursday night football, give you guys our bets for NFL Week 2, brought to you by PrizePick. And then it's going to be an NBA episode finally. Yes, the season is only a month away. And we're getting started by finishing off the centers and positions list. So we'll have our top 10 centers in the NBA, the most underrated and overrated teams in both conferences, the East and West, and talk about some Rudy Gobert because, like usual, he's in the media and headlines because of critical takes of his game. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing okay. Can't complain too much, truthfully. Of course, we're going to talk about the Dolphins and Bills. That was definitely a bummer. Having to do the fantasy reaction last night after watching the game was pretty harsh, especially with some people, of course, acting terrible. But, of course, for a good amount, for a majority of what I saw, a lot of great comments about Tua, of course, hoping that he's doing all right, hopefully that his family's doing all right in this time. But, yeah, yesterday was definitely a bummer on a lot of fronts.
I'm just excited to see the Buffalo Bills get a win, make a statement, and just continue to move on and get W's. Happy to see them get a W Thursday night. Happy to win on Pick'em. I got another W, so propel myself even further. For real. And now I'm 2 up on Drew, so now I feel good. I definitely feel excited.
Tough. I can't wait for this week, I'll be honest with y'all. I cannot wait for the Steelers-Broncos game. Thank you. And I'm also just looking for the NBA season. You can't wait for
what?
The Steelers-Broncos game.
That's about to be the...
What do you mean?
That's one of the worst games of the weekend.
Truthfully, it might be 10-3.
What's my favorite team?
I know, but come on.
I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm an Eagles fan.
You're going to lose.
I know.
Yes.
I'm an Eagles fan, and I don't get up for Eagles and Giants
But
games.
that's different.
Come on.
My only favorite sports team that I am on is the Steelers. That's the only one.
To be fair, we knew that.
No, we don't.
I don't have another team. I've got players who I really rock
Denver.
with.
You're a Suns fan.
No,
Remember
you
the
don't
Nets.
understand.
Can't forget the Nets.
My Steelers fandom cuts through all of that. That's something that no other sport can really compare to that at all.
Maybe possibly.
So.
Now, he's more of a Steelers fan than he is any other fan of any other team. That's a fact. I mean, NBA, he went from the Suns to the Nuggets.
He just jumped.
The Steelers, he's been 100% on.
I mean,
Again,
it's
you can't forget
different
the Nets.
when the team gets you into the sport. And not only that, it's different when the team gets you into watching sports.
The Nets always crack me up. That shit came from left field.
No, in 2017, I was a Net fan.
I think he's a Houston fan now.
Are you a Houston fan? Oh my God!
Here's the thing:
John,
when I would make content
me.
for certain teams and they would show love on YouTube, I would immediately become fans of them because their fan base was mad chill and I rock with their players, which is why I was making videos on them.
Listen, I promise you, the Raptors fans fuck with me and I fuck with them.
Exactly.
I'm not a Raptors fan.
But there was definitely a moment in time he was acting like one.
He's a big Sky.
I had an agenda for him.
Guy. That's what he was.
OG too. We can't forget about OG.
It's
He was a
different
Gary
though,
Trent guy.
when you're making.
And now he's on Milwaukee.
And now you're out on him
head.
for some reason.
I'm not. Hey, I didn't say I'm out on him. I said that was a cute move.
It's different though when you're making content on the player. It's like, this is one of my favorite guys, and then you have a shit ton of their fans backing you up with that support.
Mm-hmm. So that's why you have a crush
you rock
on
with the
Jokic.
fan base, and Jokic fans show out more
They
than any other
do.
fan base.
No, they really
definitely do.
So when the fan base shows out, and also you rock with the player's game, you're just gonna be inclined to root for him way more.
Now, this podcast is sponsored by PrizePick. You guys have probably heard about PrizePick. Everybody's heard about PrizePick. It's very easy to play. It's a very fun way to watch the games and play some plays at the same time. Now, if you guys want to help out this podcast, you support PrizePick. If you play $5, you will get $50 instantly in your account if you use code PAS. PrizePick this month has a free square September, and that free square is Caleb Williams, 1 yard equals 1 win. But round table, we all got picks for these week 2 games for PrizePick. What are you going with, Drew?
First off, let's just say last week Caleb didn't make it easy for that 1 yard. 93 really made people sweat over it. Yeah. My play of the week has to be J.K. Dobbins going up against the Carolina Panthers, 57.5. Of course, we're taking the more on that. He's going to have more than 57.5, maybe in the first half. Hopefully, we start to see him get a lot more opportunity, similar to what we saw in that second half. A demon, 10 carries, 135 yards, 13.5 yards per carry for those that can't do math. Had two rushes of 20 plus yards or more. He was uberly efficient, got into the end zone as well. I think the Chargers realize we got a guy in our hands. He just needs to stay healthy. We've all understood that. I've been extremely vocal about this for God knows how long, and I'm glad he validated me on week 1. But week 2, especially with Derek Brown going down to injury and with how awesome Joe Alt was last week, opposite side of Rashawn Slater, this push that the Chargers line is going to get, mix that with a Greg Roman offense, it's a recipe for J.K. Dobbins to go crazy.
I like that play. My play of the week's easy. Josh Jacobs over 66.5 yards versus the Colts. We just saw Joe Mixon nearly triple that last week. And Jacobs didn't have the best first half, but it felt like in the second half he could have gotten those 66 yards, honestly. And of course, with Malik Willis being in the game, I think they're going to rely a little bit more on the run. They're going to have a little more design runs with the quarterback, and him giving keepers to Jacobs will probably up those attempts. So I think that's a super safe play, and I got Jacobs in fantasy, so I need him to show out.
I'm staying with the Green Bay Packers, and I'm going with my boy Dontavian Wicks.
This may be my least favorite play of us.
12.5 receiving yards is very low for a reason, because he didn't have any yardage last week, essentially week 1. But it's because the field conditions, he was slipping. He dropped a couple passes, but they were targeting him, and that's the most important.
A little bit of both. He's slipping as he's falling. He's still trying to concentrate.
Let me get this straight.
Yes,
AJ caught.
He did.
Jaden Reed
didn't fall.
They didn't
Smith
slip in the action.
Didn't fall.
Yeah. Wicks couldn't catch.
But you gotta
Dontavian Wicks
remember,
slipped in the action. That's why he couldn't catch it.
and you also got to remember Saquon's first touch as a Philadelphia Eagle. Just eat shit.
Yeah.
Giants Twitter's going nuts. Oh, this is his first touch. He's washed. And then what
after
happened?
that, masterclass.
And what happened?
So
I'm not saying Dontavian Wicks is Saquon.
Wicks dropped the pass and nothing happened after that.
I'm saying that Dontavian Wicks was targeted 4 to 5 times.
He was.
And he slipped on multiple occasions. That field was genuinely horrible. It was abysmal. And if you ever have slipped before in your life, you know that when you are in the moment of slipping, your mind goes blank. You have no recollection of what's happening. You're just trying to catch your balance. I'm giving Dontavian Wicks some grace. 12.5 receiving yards. He will get targeted. He will get that. That's my boy.
My concern
Packers
is
opener.
not Dontavian. It's Malik Willis. That's the genuine concern.
Malik Willis was sitting there
He's
like,
never gotten
watching him
100
drop
passing yards.
passes.
I'm going to tell you something. Malik Willis, one play under center play action. You have Wicks coming over on a crosser. That's 12.5 yards right there.
It's going to Jaden Reed.
That's 12.5 yards right there. Oh, Jaden Reed's going to eat too. But Dontavian Wicks, 12.5 receiving yards. He's like that. He's going to get it.
That's your guy. You're big on him. I hope he does have a big week and a big season, because he started off pretty garbage.
I did drop him in multiple fantasy leagues. Just because Jordan Love was supposed to be out 3 to 6 weeks, and now he's questionable.
My play of the week is Amon-Ra St. Brown, more than 7 receptions. Listen, last week against the Rams, wasn't really the biggest in that game, got an interception that had a pass that was taken from him by another cornerback that became an interception. Really was an hilarious moment in the game.
Don't do that.
But other than that, didn't really get targeted too much, only had 3 receptions last week. Going up against Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. He's going to eat this week. I mean, Jared Goff was going into that game knowing I got to get Amon-Ra involved. I got to get him peppered with touches. And, when your top receiver doesn't get touches, they start to feel a little antsy and start to get a little aggravated. And they are, no shade to them, the divas of the NFL. They need those touches. They need to perform.
Wide receivers?
So, yeah,
I respect that.
They are. And, no shade to them. They're the talent of the league. So Amon-Ra is going to get force-fed. Might have 10 receptions, 115, 120. I expect a big game. So mine's is more than 7 receptions, Amon-Ra.
And those are our 4 PrizePick plays of the week. You also got a Caleb Williams free square, 1 yard equals 1 win. If you guys want to help the podcast out, you use our code PAS on PrizePicks. Play $5, get $50. On to the first segment of the show, Thursday Night Football, recapping that game. The Bills beat the Dolphins 31-10. Now, we all know the horrible event that happened late in that game in the third quarter. It's been spoken about ad nauseum across multiple media platforms. You talked about it, Drew. I talked about it as well on my platform. So we don't have to get too into that. We could just talk about the game and keep this football. What are you guys' takeaways from this game? I mean, for me, I felt like, it was a game that the Dolphins had more passing yards, more rushing yards, more total yards. They had a better conversion rate on third down percentage-wise. They had more time of possession. But the Buffalo Bills dominated this game in every single fashion. And I think the one place you got to start with is the turnovers. It's 17 points off of turnovers, 3 interceptions from Tua. And I feel like that was the name of the game. What do you think, Riv?
Are you surprised? You're not surprised.
I wouldn't say I'm too surprised.
They're 10-1. Prior to the game, they were 10-1 in their last 11 games. The only reason, I'm talking about Buffalo.
Oh, 10-1.
Yeah, but Flip
Okay,
they were
my
10-1.
bad. I thought you were talking about the Dolphins' primetime record.
No, that's also another wacky
Yeah,
number.
that primetime
Josh
Dolphins
Allen 6-0 prior to Thursday night football. I mean, the only reason you were picking Miami, with respect to Drew, is because you felt like Stephon Diggs was an insane drop off, and Miami was just better than this team. But even then, like, I just feel like this is, and somebody made a great tweet about it. I wish I remembered his name, was Tom Brady to the Bills is essentially what Josh Allen is to Miami. He completely owns this team. I mean, him, McDermott, they just completely own and dominate this team every time they play. I mean, Josh Allen's numbers versus Miami before last night were better than Lamar Jackson's MVP season. Like, they're that ridiculous. And then last night, he didn't have to do too much. I mean, he made a couple great plays, to play to Khalil Shakir in the middle of the field, to play to Cam Lewis when Jalen Ramsey got smoked. And, like, he made a couple good plays, but for the most part, he played a game-managing game, did the right things, didn't have no turnovers. Well, that was the beauty part of it. And, like, for me, I just felt like once they put the ball into his hands is when they started losing this game. Every possession, it felt like when Tua had the ball in his hands, he was either on miscommunication with his wide receivers, creating a turnover, taking a sack, or just throwing it out of bounds. He just wasn't playing a good game. And even the turnovers, like, I don't know what the one turnover with him and Robbie Anderson, I'm not saying that other name, but him and Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Chosen?
Sure. Him and Robbie Anderson. I don't know what that was about. It felt like Tua was fixated on him going deep. Robbie was like, no, I'm not going to deep. It's just like a weird miscommunication. Then the one where he got pressured, I felt like Tua should just threw it out of bounds. I guess he tried to.
He did try.
But it ended up just going into Ingram's hands, which Ingram had a big game to a guy who's kind of unknown. And McDermott doesn't get enough credit for just plugging in guys and just them working in the scheme. I mean, Bernard, who was, pretty good for them last year, essentially playing at a high level when Matt Milano went down. He was one of their linebackers. No Matt Milano again last game. And Bernard, he went out. Baylor Spector went into the game. They didn't have Teron Johnson. So Ingram stepped up. Benford stepped up. Rasul Douglas, he's been big for them since he got there. So that was huge. Von Miller looked great. Ed Oliver was there. Greg Russo, like that trio was just dominant. And it's like there was nothing like Tyreek didn't play a good game. He hasn't played a good game against Buffalo. Waddle didn't play a good game. It's been a while since he had a big game. Like, the only person who looked great was A-Chain. Like, every time A-Chain got the ball, it felt like he was making a big play. It felt like he was doing a thing. And even Waddle and Hill in the run game, it felt like they were really impressive. They were able to get their stuff going. But when the passing game was trying to get going, Buffalo's defense just did not allow any big-time plays and did not allow anything in the backfield. They were keeping it where if you're going to run the ball all game, which we don't believe you're going to do, that's the way you're going to have to beat us. And for whatever reason, Miami just refused to do it. Now, on Buffalo's offensive end, I mean, James Cook was amazing. He was fantastic. I mean, in the run game.
Better than a 55?
In the pass game.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, we knew James Cook was going to have a big game, though. We all felt like this was going to be the James Cook year. We all felt like Buffalo was going to emphasize running the ball this year, having a more balanced attack, or just leaning into the run game. And that included a little bit of Josh Allen. And I think the fact that he didn't have to do much this game shows that this team is a little better than what people thought. You know, this team defensively, they were banged up. They came in, they had a great performance. Offensively, they may not have the elite talent in Stephon Diggs, in a Jettas or something like that, but they have a good complementary skills of guys like Kincaid, Shakir, and Curtis Samuel and stuff like that. So I think with this win, I mean, for Buffalo, this just feels like another win that they've taken against Miami, but they have a tough schedule coming up for Miami. Where do you go from here? I mean, of course, the unfortunate truth is Tua has another concussion injury. That does suck. Where does he go from here? We don't know. You know, whatever decision he makes, I'm sure everybody will be able to, understand if he does walk away from the game, because this is too many concussion injuries, and you want to have a good, healthy life. But for Miami, you seem to not be able to get over the hump. You've made improvements, and you just can't, for whatever reason, you just cannot get over the hump. So I don't know where Miami goes from here, because this would have been a statement win. Everybody knows it. Thursday night against the Buffalo Bills in Miami. But shout out to Buffalo. They came out, they played tough, and I'm excited that they got the W.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, damn. Thank you for letting me go. I watched that game last night, and I felt like the biggest thing that stood out to me when comparing this Bills team and past Bills teams is that Josh Allen has more support than ever before. For him to come out and have 139 passing yards and you're still trudging to a victory, obviously turnover margin helps. But the offensive line was getting so much push in the run game to open up holes for James Cook that it felt like every time they got a short field, it was an easy breeze to score in 7 points, gain the most they could out of possession. And then offensively for the passing game, it's obviously a committee, but I think James Cook spearheading that group is a pretty good fit because he's been so explosive and so elusive and just so efficient in that role the last 2 years since he's gotten a larger share in their offense. I think the biggest thing is just that for Josh Allen not have to put so much in order for the Bills offense to produce, it's only going to alleviate the pressure on him to where he has more in the playoffs, and that's where he can be more of himself that we've seen the last 3-4 years. So, I mean, for Buffalo, it's obviously an amazing feeling to have this. The defense is good. It's looking better than what it looked like last week, and I just think for this offense, it's pretty awesome to see Josh Allen finally have like that protection. The weapons, all things considered, are only going to get better because of how young they are.
Go ahead, Joel.
This game, the harsh truth of it was that it was meaningless for the Bills. The Bills knew that they have their number. This game meant everything to the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, after coming back against the Jaguars, a game that I feel like the Jaguars choked more so than the Dolphins came back. They had a 94% win probability at one point until Travis Etienne fumbled, and he was essentially going to ice the game. Mike McDaniel said this team is different. This is a game that we lose in the past. And then they go against Buffalo at home, and they lay an egg. And I think there are multiple facets to the Dolphins not playing well in primetime. Tua, of course, I think is one of the main problems because when you ask him to get outside of the system, he chokes. And that's just the truth of it. But also, the offensive line's not good. I mean, right tackle, he was getting blown up by Von Miller consistently. Ooh. The Bills' defense played a lot of two shell, not trying to allow any explosive plays. And that's why the running game and those screen passes were working at first. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like when I watch the Dolphins in these primetime spots, Mike McDaniel is trying to force the hand, and he's trying to get Tua to be the hero of the game instead of calling the game properly and just letting him manage it so they can win. Because those same plays that they get against other defenses are not there against Buffalo. They take it away. They take Tyreek Hill away. They take Jalen Waddle away. They press up and they disrupt the timing of this offense. And then for the Buffalo Bills, I think there was more takeaways for the Buffalo Bills because I think this team is better than it was last year. You can see that Stephon Diggs is thriving with Houston as of right now, but also Buffalo is much better without Stephon Diggs as well because now everybody doesn't have an ego and you're just spreading the sugar around. The play calling from Joe Brady on fourth down. I mean, this is a must-have situation. This would be a huge stop for the Dolphins defensively. You motion James Cook to draw the linebacker to him. Then you motion again to verify that it's man coverage. Curtis Samuel motions. Jalen Ramsey follows him. He then goes in, then back out, and James Cook goes to the left to the flat, and he doesn't pick up the blitzer to free blitzer off the edge. Too. And then Mac Hollins picks David Long, and that's an easy touchdown for James Cook. That play design, the concept, it was amazing. Joe Brady, that's what he brings to this offense. And then the rushing attack. I mean, when they ran duo on that 49-yard rushing touchdown with James Cook, they were triple teaming the Dolphins defensive tackle. There was a wide open lane, but also James Cook on that play. David Long Jr. had two choices on what gap to shoot. It was the gap to the left or the gap to the right, and that gap is James Cook's right and James Cook's left. James Cook hits him with a step to the right, which makes David Long shoot the gap, and then he bursts through the left hole, and that leads to a 49-yard rushing touchdown. This rushing attack, this offensive line is more physical. It's better than it was last year, and all around, this Bills defense is great, but they're not going to be tested against a team like Miami. They got Miami's number, and they are good enough to where they can consistently win the AFC East because we still have to see what the Jets are going to do moving forward, and if they can rise up to the occasion. What the Bills have to prove is the same thing as Baltimore. They got to beat the Chiefs. And I think this year it gives them a better shot, especially if you're getting Matt Milano healthy down the road towards the end of the season, towards the playoffs. You need these players healthy. I agree with you. Sean McDermott does not get enough credit. And the only thing holding this Bills defense back is injuries against high-tier teams, but the unfortunate truth for the Dolphins is that they have been unable to rise to the occasion, and that's on all levels. Jalen Ramsey got beat by Tyler Johnson, a third-string running back, a deep pass.
That was a nice play by
Week
Josh.
1, Brian Thomas cook Jalen Ramsey too. So Jalen Ramsey is somebody that he's also kind of on watch. You have to keep a close eye on him and see how he's going to play week to week. But this defense, they just didn't have enough. And I feel like there's a lot of miscommunications that are still being ironed out with them.
You mentioned the defense, right? First half, 5 drives. The Bills were able to score on 4 of them. They were extremely efficient with their opportunities in the first half. And also that was in result of first drive interception, one that hits the receiver, Dehls, if I'm not mistaken, hits him on the shoulder, pops up, defender makes a nice play on that. Then, of course, Dolphins go and score. Bills go and they answer right back with the score of their own. And then, of course, another interception, the one that goes to Robbie Chosen, that gets overthrown. Even though Robbie slips, to me, it didn't matter. I think that ball was just overthrown regardless. Defender sitting right there. To me, I've been very vocal in the past about play calling with Miami. I thought that McDaniel called a fine game, in my opinion. I say that with the idea that, you mentioned it, they're playing too high. They are trying to take the big play away from Miami, which makes a lot of sense with how you saw the big play aid their comeback against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But run the ball, right? Fine. Devon Achane seeing these holes. He was super explosive, elusive, breaking tackles left and right. When he hits that next level, he's just an extremely dangerous player. He was one of the standouts, one of the few standouts for Miami. But 100%, I can't disagree with a lot of what you guys are saying. So right now, Miami has been unable to rise to the occasion. Dating back to last season, of course, when they only won 1 game against a over 500 team, if I'm not mistaken, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, correct? And then right now, week 2, even though the Jaguars was a very respectable win, people have expectations for the Jaguars. It was a game like yesterday that you were looking forward to Miami. It's always the upper echelon guys that they struggle with, whether it's the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens. You could throw the Niners in there as well. Something about a prime time in a big game, Miami does fold. And I'll put blame on Tua, of course. Definitely some bad throws. The decision to try and throw the ball out of bounds that leads to a pick 6. I think that was a bad decision. Should have just taken the sack, or of course try and muscle it out, which he tried to do. But either which way, one play Teron Armstead was out for. That one play, the Bills were able to get pressure on that side and force Tua into a bad decision. There's levels on this team that definitely aren't to standard that can obviously aid Miami to get over that hump. We've been vocal about the offensive line almost every single season that Tua has been the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. You have Tyreek, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Devon Achane. These are nice Band-Aids, but now you're forcing the Miami offense to play one way and one way only. Quick. You have to get the ball out, and you have to be on timing, and you have to be precise in every instance and every facet of the game. Tua has minimal time to sit in the pocket and let plays develop. And then in times where he does, we saw the one to Chosen Anderson. To me, that he had time. He had time to set himself and make a throw, and he just kind of just airmailed it. It wasn't a great play by him. So I look at this defense. The Bills were able to do whatever they wanted. I look at this offense against great teams. They aren't able to rise to the occasion. Of course, now when we talk about the Miami Bills moving forward, it's going to be completely different, not knowing what is going to happen with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. Of course, Mike McDaniel put it perfectly, and honestly, I wish I would have seen that clip before talking about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. What he wants to do with his future, that is up to him. We won't be in trying to give him advice of what he should be doing and what he shouldn't be doing. That is unfair to him. Let him go through whatever he wants to, whatever he's going through right now, and let him make that decision on his own. He's already vocalized he loves the game of football. It'd be very difficult for him to walk away from the game of football. A game that we saw one year him take 3 concussions. 3 is enough to permanently damage a regular human being's brain. We saw that just one more hit, a pretty severe hit last night, could be one that could potentially put him back over to a point where now we're really having to have concerns about it. So it's going to be an unfortunate situation for Miami. Of course, the season definitely turns on its head with the news and the result of last night. But strictly just talking about the game of football, you guys aren't wrong. When it comes to big time games and big time situations, Miami simply hasn't answered the call.
I think, like you mentioned with Buffalo, this isn't the breakout. This game moves me, but I think the next couple games, you got Jacksonville, you got Baltimore. I don't know the order, but I know these games.
They did kick Miami's ass, to be
Houston,
fair.
No, but I'm saying you got like Baltimore, Houston, Jacksonville. There is one more.
They played the Chiefs this year too.
Yeah, I think that's later in the year because they play the Niners next to the Chiefs. Like
Texans.
this schedule will test this Buffalo team. This schedule this year: Chiefs, Niners, Houston, Ravens, Baltimore.
But it's like that every year.
The Jets,
They
the
always
Seahawks.
win the division.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they're going to face the
But
number one
I don't think they've
schedule.
ever seen Baltimore, the Niners, Texans now because they're
And they
different
face the
teams.
Lions.
Yeah, the Lions, and it's like this is a crazy.
They face
schedule.
every contender.
Last year they played the Bills. They played the
Eagles.
Bengals. They played the Eagles. They played the
Chiefs.
the Cowboys.
Right.
They played the Chiefs.
That's it.
They've played the Chiefs.
They play the Chiefs every year.
Played the Dolphins twice, of course. They do play the Chiefs every
And
year.
the Jets are better now.
They do. They are better now for sure. But I'll say this: I'm moved by last night's game by the way it happened. Of course, you guys are 100% right. Bills have owned Miami for almost every single time they've played them, aside from one time in God knows how long. But the way they went about it, James Cook was dominant. We've been talking about that run game, how it wants to be the focal point of the Buffalo Bills offense. They went out there and did that. 11 carries, over 70 yards, 2 touchdowns on the
I
ground.
think it's how you respond because last year they beat the brakes off y'all in Buffalo. Then they went out to Jacksonville. Well, not Jacksonville, but they traveled over
London.
to London. They played Jacksonville. and They came out flat.
I just say that because a lot of people are lower on the Bills this season. And to go out there and still be the same Buffalo Bills against Miami, that's kind of putting other teams on notice like, hey, we don't treat them lightly just because they may have lost a few players. That's not how it's going to go from here on out. And a win versus Miami, whether of course they show up or not, which more often than not they haven't been able to, it's still one you have to expect, especially when they go and they route them on both levels.
I think they only lost Diggs though in their safeties, but like you saw Poyer out there, he wasn't that good. I mean, outside of Diggs, your offensive line is still
and
fucking
Milano,
good.
of course.
Yeah, well, Milano's an injury thing. He was hurt last year,
True.
but without Diggs, your offensive line is fucking amazing.
Yep.
You still have James Cook. Your
Sorry.
defense is probably the best it's ever been because last year, Tre'Davious White was always banged up. You didn't have him. And Elam started that game that you played in Miami. This game, Teron didn't play, but he is one of your best players. Ben Ford is way better than Elam. And then you have Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas did not play in the second time they played in Miami or the first time. So you've completely, and Von Miller is healthier than he's ever been.
sure.
So you've completely adjusted and changed his team. It's really just Diggs. If Diggs is that big of a loss, then I feel like we look at Josh Allen different. I don't think none of us look at Josh Allen different. We think Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in the world. So if he's that to us, I don't think Stephon Diggs was ever going to be an insane loss because I think he still can do whatever. He's a Superman.
2 games in a row, though, we haven't seen this be a prolific passing offense.
of course
I don't
And
think it will.
honestly,
Yeah, 2
that's
attempts the first game,
if
first
I'm a
half.
Bills fan, I'm excited by that.
Yeah.
We haven't had to have Josh be Superman passing the ball. Even though we were down 17-3 to Arizona, he did have to use his legs
He's
to win the
methodically
game.
breaking
Exactly.
Prolific brings more turnovers. It brings more trigger happy moments. And Josh has said it. He said he has 2 guys in him. He has the reckless guy and he has the careful guy. I love the careful. Don't get me wrong. The reckless guy.
He's a demon.
I'm all for it.
He's a
like that.
demon.
But sometimes you need the careful guy. You need the relax. Let me just work my way up the field. I don't need this 40-yard bomb down the field. I don't need to do that. And plus, you don't even have the guys for it. So, when Keon Coleman sets into that role, he develops and stuff.
Right, he had 0 catches.
He's going to be an
yesterday.
upgrade.
Yeah,
over Gabe
you'll
Davis
have that. So,
very soon.
I like this team, though. This team is dope.
That's like the perfect thing for the Bills because they were so much like Green Bay, where it was so driven through their number one option, and then everybody else was not getting enough love to where it was too one-dimensional. And now you're starting to spread the wealth in a way that the Packers have really succeeded with, and also the Chiefs. And I think they saw that blueprint when they moved Diggs and said to themselves, if we can diversify the offense, it's going to make our offense better in the playoffs when we want to be
I
more
don't even think
dynamic.
Curtis Samuel has done anything in the past 2 games.
Khalil Shakir, though,
I told you.
he
That's
he
what I
might
wanted to
be
say before.
nice.
He's really damn good. I want to see him
told you
get
this.
more.
But nice.
Did
I
you
wasn't
believe
sure
him?
on nice.
He's been awesome.
He caught it,
And the
got hit, and
opportunities.
said, "Whoa!" and then ran and then kept going.
After the
bro.
catch, he's a stud.
Him after the catch is just—that's my guy. He's different, but
James Cook, though, I told you. And he's like that. You gave him a 55.
yeah, but you didn't tell me about him.
what do
I
you-
knew about him.
But why'd you sleep on him?
I didn't really sleep on him, bro. I just got the game.
What else
wrong.
do you call that?
Joel, you were there. Was it not just me not understanding the rules?
No,
I think
not that
it
time
was
around.
something like that.
Not that time
No,
around.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
that was the
it was
first round.
It was
though.
the 3rd round.
No, that was not.
But it was the first game that
Because
they
you
played.
want to know why it was
Thank-
the first?
He didn't
John.
know the game until after
do
the
you wanna know
results
why?
were
Thank you,
playing.
John.
Once.
Thank you,
Enough.
John.
Enough. Because this is how it went down. The first round was a 27. You read it as a 73. That was your first round. Then
Yes.
I went. Then we had the last one, 2 out of 3. We had to go and decide who wants to go. You said, I will go. I will be the one giving the hints.
Sure.
Don't do that. Don't lie.
I don't know what you.
He went Antonio Pierce for 55. Antonio Pierce, James Cook, and the Rams and Patriots Super Bowl.
I don't know what he's trying to prove.
The Rams Patriots Super Bowl is like a 17.
Maybe a 2.
And I tried to bring it. Listen,
If you guys want to
That's
watch
valid.
that video, you guys can check out.
I've been high on
BDG,
Cooks. We all know this.
Yeah.
When?
He's trying to change.
When have you ever been high on
Every
James
time
Cook?
I talk about Buffalo.
Oh my
only issue with him is he fumbles.
Why are you lying for him?
He watches. He
usually
edits
does.
the videos.
I do listen back.
He would know better than anybody.
Joel,
Yeah.
you've ever heard him gash James Cook?
No,
Have I ever
don't think
dissed
so.
him?
I don't think he's
Definitely
dissed him. He's never gassed him.
He
though.
called him a 55. What do you mean he didn't diss him?
I've never dissed James Cook. I've always said he's
I
really
definitely
good.
do think that after he realized how the game was, and then you said it was James Cook, Riv was like, okay. Like I don't think it was like
Antonio Pierce was the first name you gave.
So what?
It was Antonio Pierce, James Cook, then the Super Bowl.
Where do you rank Antonio Pierce in the league? Like that's at that moment.
That's why you cooked with the 55. I said 50. I said around 50.
Joel, was James Cook not like a top 13 running back towards the end of last
he
year?
was probably
Top 10.
he was
So
around
why'd
there.
you
but-
say 55?
55 is half the fucking
But I
league.
do think that
That's
my
what's
God.
coming off the last season, James Cook was more of like an average starting running back.
Well, he was still top 5 in rushing yards last
He was
season.
so damn efficient, like 5 yards a touch.
You
that,
see
like,
my vision, bro.
I know what he's
No.
saying.
Thank you.
So
I would have him
really,
close
so
to the top
13th leads to me thinking
That's middle ground.
He
What
was
is 55?
the
55 is not the
13th
middle.
running back. Bro.
55 is not the middle, John.
It is.
That's what it is. Yeah. So
Slight-
Oh,
It's
so
one better.
so
Yeah,
Smitty's.
it's
So
not
let's say
better.
Smitty is like the 25th best
I would
receiver in
never
football.
I never
no,
would
but
think
let's
that.
say Smitty's the 25th.
No.
Am I supposed to say he's like a
'cause
60?
Drew, if you were guessing, and no, if you were giving me the hints,
So many more
and you
starting
told me
receivers.
Smitty,
Right, like bro.
no, that
could've
wouldn't
gone-
work.
Well,
like
no,
if you would have
what
said
I'm saying-
Antonio Gibson,
Smitty's a terrible
55.
example.
Yeah, well-
Smitty's a terrible example.
Although
I
the
think
year
Smitty's
8,
like an 80.
Gibson made the Pro Bowl.
Huh?
Gibby, Pro Bowl Gibby, he'd be
Okay,
higher
but
than
that,
55.
you know what I mean, John.
But-
I'm just trying to think of someone who's really
You're
like
valid.
legitimately
Yes. Like-
mid.
I think the
2020
conclusion of
Gibson's
this
out.
is that you definitely have been propping up James Cook, but you haven't been dissing him.
Never.
No,
I've never dissed
So
James
what he
Cook.
Riff's saying that you didn't tell him about James Cook, but you,
You
were
just
higher
did-
on him.
that's your guy.
55, bro.
I
I'm
would
sorry.
say
That
that-
shit sits with me.
I would say that's your guy. That's not my
not.
guy.
OD.
But I've never ever dissed James Cook.
Never ever is crazy when you did say he was a 55. That's all I have to say. That's all,
Okay,
the last
fine.
thing I'm gonna say on that.
Okay.
Now, technically, the Bills were an upset pick because
Correct.
they had
Facts.
a pot. What's it called when it's like plus
plus
money,
money.
right? Yeah, they had plus money. We're gonna get into our NFL lock and upset picks of week 2, then do this week in NFL/NBA, then go into our NBA side of the podcast. My upset pick this week is the Packers over the Colts. Jordan Love is questionable. Even if Jordan Love doesn't play, I still think the Packers will win. I think Malik Willis is not as trash as people think he is. In the preseason, this past preseason, I was watching him back.
Kenny
and
Pickett was fire in the
looked,
preseason.
He looked all right.
Perfect passer.
I feel like
You know who
what
else was
people,
fire in the preseason? My guy Bo Nix.
That's
So
true.
maybe we gotta stop caring about the preseason.
I feel like
Fair enough.
we underrate too much the infrastructure, play calling, and situation around quarterbacks, especially when they're young quarterbacks. And I think this Packers situation is elite.
Oh, yeah.
I think any quarterback would love to be in this situation. And I think Malik Willis, if he has good pass protection, his wide receivers getting open, they have a good running game around him, and they can run those read options with him, and he can use his legs, and he doesn't have to do too much. Just a couple shot plays out of play action, and you have these wide open throwing lanes. You just hit the guy. I think he's able to keep the Packers from losing this game.
Excuse me.
And Malik Willis, I still think that he has a lot of talent. Like, he has a big time arm, and that could definitely be used. That could definitely be used in his game. The one thing with the Colts is that I'm kind of scared about is that I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a superstar. There's no doubt about that. He completed less than 50% of his throws in week 1.
not good.
He had 2 50-yard bombs. You're not going to have
those
that
words, Riv.
No,
consistently.
he was not good.
Relax.
His accuracy was all over the place. So my thing is, if the
Relax.
Packers take away explosive plays
Favoritism.
and they force Anthony Richardson to beat them by throwing short and intermediate, Anthony Richardson could get beside himself and he could be really inaccurate all over the field.
For sure.
But the other thing that I think can help the Colts out is that Jonathan Taylor, I think, can have a big game if this Packers run defense is what we saw versus Philadelphia. The field conditions were so terrible that, like I said before, I'm really throwing that game out. Like I'm throwing that game out.
The one you thought y'all would win.
Now I'm throwing it, whatever, good, bad.
Really
There are certain takeaways.
Out,
certain takeaways I got from it, like Saquon is still a star. Zach Bond really showed out, and I think the Eagles got some good linebackers now in Kobe Dean.
Oh, we do.
No, yeah, I think you do.
That moved me.
I just remember
Bond,
him telling him the moves we made didn't really move him.
Well, it was Devin White.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know that Bond was going to break out like this.
No, we didn't. He was a converted edge rusher to
And
inside
Nolan,
linebacker.
and Nolan had himself a decent ball game too.
And Devin White is not even going to play.
What did I say, Nolan?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, excuse me, Nakobe Dean.
Vic
He dropped
Fangio
a pick
did say
six, better
that
than that.
Devin White is going to have like a role in the defense,
so
but whatever. His starting spot got taken, and I was not high on that move. But Zach Bond converting into inside linebacker, I have no history on what he was, and he was really good. He had 15 tackles. But with this Colts and Packers game, that's how I feel like the Packers can win this game. There's no doubt about it to me that the Packers are more talented than Colts. And when you look at the Colts secondary, Julian Blackmon's not going to play. Juju Brents is out for the season now. They don't have any corners. Yeah. And even if it's Jordan Love and Malik Willis back there, they should be able to pick apart this secondary because Matt LaFleur knows how to do that. So that's why I'm picking the Packers. My lock of the week.
Wait, before you move on.
Yeah.
This is a message to you, Santos. I had a question prior to the show, and I feel like a lot of it we use you as the commissioner of the Pick'ems. If Jordan Love plays, do we have the right to say the Packers are going to win? That's a question for you. Put it in the comments. We're going to go by what you say. Carry on.
You're trying to rob me from catching up.
That's not even bro.
Did you get the Miami win? The Miami loss?
No, because I picked the Bills.
But OD, I'm giving it to him.
So we have the right. No,
bro.
No, bro.
It usually is what the graphic says.
No. Drew, we made a pact before Pick'em. We said,
right.
and he fucked up.
He did.
We said whenever the Pick'em comes out and the poster comes out, is what goes on. You had an opportunity. You're the guy. You had an opportunity to edit it.
Jess Fake is the guy. To be fair, Jess Fake is the guy.
Jess could have said, "Babe, are you sure about Miami?"
Technically,
because he straight told us that I was.
You were gonna pick Miami before the show.
He's nasty for this.
No.
Nah.
Technically, what we pick is what we pick on a sleeper. That's what we said.
Whoa, no.
I got shit on for saying that. He got shit on. He's right. It's always been the graphic.
I picked the Bills.
It's always been the
sleeper.
graphic. On the show, you pick the Bills, which is why I said I'm giving it to you. Which is why I said I'm giving it to you.
It was a mistake.
Yeah, the graphic
like
had
I
a
picked
mistake.
the Dolphins to win the game.
But
it was a mistake.
We do say the graphic is
the final.
That's it.
Yes, but here's the thing. Jess made the graphic before the show. My picks before the show.
And on the show, he changed his mind, which I gave to him, and that's fair.
I just didn't see it. I didn't see that mistake. I didn't see that mistake.
Because he's the one that posted it. I didn't have a hand in that.
I really did not know that.
You posted.
I was gonna say every other post on IG is me. Any graphics? That's that man right there.
Until Drew pointed it out, I saw it. I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Why the hell?"
That's why I was like, "Yo, wait, we're riding."
I was like, "Oh my god!" But listen, I understand. I understand why you trying to rob me to pick.
I'm not.
No, this has to do with Green Bay.
I just feel like because we all thought Malik Willis was playing. That's the only we all made it clear. That's the only reason we're picking.
All right, we're gonna be fair.
Thank you.
If Jordan Love plays, y'all go with the Packers.
Thank you.
No, we have the opportunity to change.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm completely changing. I just should get that opportunity to change last minute.
All right, let's go. W. Good looks for waiting on that for us.
So
John, you also, but you don't get your get back for that one.
I got some lock picks of the week. This is what I have in my account right now. This is a shout out to PrizePicks, but for the game to game stuff, not the player props, I rock with FanDuel. I have this 5-leg parlay. Tell me how likely this is to hit.
Teams
plus 2.498 odds.
Oh god.
Saints versus Cowboys under 46.5 points.
Under. Okay.
I think it's a defensive battle. Okay. That's why I got it. Chargers to cover 4.5.
Send it
against the Panthers. The Packers plus 3. I'm trusting the spread there.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's the one.
That's the one. I'm scared.
Giants money line against the Commanders.
Real.
Yeah. And then I have the Rams and Cardinals over 47.5.
I love that.
It's $10 to win $259.
I think that's free money.
I hate
then
that.
the
No, easy. Oh, the last one. I was
yeah.
gonna say the Packers may bend you.
That's
over.
the one that might.
That's
I'm
gonna
praying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other ones I got Giants money line just straight up. I got Rams money line just straight up. I got Packers money line just straight up. And then I got a 5-leg parlay with just the favorites: Chargers, Lions over the Bucks, Cowboys over Saints, Steelers over Broncos, Texans over Bears, and Eagles over Falcons. I'm locked in this week.
Eagles over Falcons. Facts.
I am shocked.
I'm not shocked. He was violating the Falcons all this week.
Because he doesn't like the Falcons. It's just he had to go.
And my lock is the Chargers over Panthers or the Ravens over the Raiders. Those are my locks.
I was gonna say there are some gimme games. My lock of the week is most definitely the Chargers versus the Panthers. I already spoke about it. We do our survivor pool. I'll start giving my survivor pool pick on the show. It's funny because one of the guys that's in our survivor pool said, "I know who you're picking." I was like, "All right, screw you," because hopefully if they ride and I lose, we all go down together. But I am taking the Chargers over the Panthers. That's as easy as it gets. Another lock, obviously, the Ravens over the Raiders. That should be a gimme. I'm contemplating sending the Chiefs over the Bengals as a lock as well, especially early season Kansas City versus early season Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not going to have T. Higgins yet again. This offensive line still isn't that great. The defensive line, Isaiah Pacheco is going to have himself a baller-ass game. That was one that I was contemplating for our prize picks as well. But the locks, I'd go with the Ravens. I'm going with the Chargers, and I'm going with KC.
I like that a lot. My lock of the week, surprise, surprise, it's Pittsburgh rolling into Denver, and I think Bo Nix is going to mightily struggle. And I got the Steelers winning that game.
But what if he doesn't, John? Then you're a fan?
No, definitely not.
No, John, hear me out, and I mean this sincerely. If Bo Nix goes out there and balls against arguably the
honest,
best defense in the league, live in a hypothetical. Just live in a hypothetical. If he goes out there and balls against the best defense in the league, you'd have to be moved.
He played so shitty last week that when I look at what the
He
Steelers
played at like a
secondary
4
has
out of
added-
10.
Yeah, probably. When I look at what the Steelers,
so
maybe,
nice.
That's
maybe,
generous. That's generous.
What?
Maybe a
Come
2.
on.
He was like a 1.
When you look at what the Steelers
The last
secondary
drive.
added,
And that throw to Reynolds.
That was the 1.
see, I'll be honest. Deshaun Elliott looked so good last week, and for the most part, so did Action Jackson as well. That secondary might give him fits.
Talking about Dante Jackson, correct.
Action
Because
Jackson.
Action Jackson is Lamar
It's Lamar
Jackson.
Jackson. No
Yeah,
D.
I thought it's. Oh yeah, okay. Maybe that's
Please
not like
respect
his
Lamar.
certified nickname.
Who,
Action
Lamar?
Jackson. No, I'm talking about
Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson.
He's fast.
But yeah, Dante Jackson played really well too, to where our secondary looks so good, and the only wide receiver that you have is Cortland Sutton. Joey Porter Jr. is gonna put him in a straight
Respect Josh
jacket.
Reynolds.
I won't. After
believe I
watching
said
the
that
NFC
out loud.
champion, after watching the NFC championship game, I won't.
I don't mean
And
it.
I just think our run defense is gonna kind of stifle.
It's a lock.
Yeah, it's
a lock.
It's a clean lock. My upset of the week. It's really surprising me that they're underdogs because they are on the road. It's the Rams going up into Arizona and being the Cardinals. I just think they're the better version of Arizona. And last week they played so well offensively versus the Lions. I was telling Joel before, I feel like they could have won that game. I feel really comfortable that they roll in there and they cover a +1.5 spread for sure.
Listen, Riv, last week, our upset was the Steelers.
Yeah.
This week, what's our upset?
It's New England. Like, yeah, it's and listen, I've seen a couple Seattle fans who are in the comments they're not being quite too mean. They just don't think
They're respectful fans.
They don't trust in New England's offense, and I understand that. New England's offense is definitely a rocky thing to watch. But I think defensively they're one of the best units in the league. And I think when you have that and then you make it an ugly game, like I keep saying with the Steelers, if you just make it an ugly ass game, you keep it low scoring, those ugly teams, the
Anything can
grittier
happen.
teams will win. And I think that can happen. You know, the Seahawks did not look good against Denver. Geno Smith was not his best. And I think New England defense is maybe a tick above Denver, if not a
Maybe
tick
two.
above. Yeah, it's
Maybe two
definitely
ticks.
elite. So I think they can do their thing. But another lock I have is I think the Niners and the Vikings. I was thinking about it. And every time the Niners feel a sense of disrespect or they feel like a team owned them, every time they come back, it's an ass whooping.
So you're saying we got a chance against the Chiefs?
The Broncos do.
No, the Niners.
Just saying.
Next, if they face each other in the Super Bowl, there's a
I
chance.
guess. I mean, when you think of the Philly, they was waiting for that game.
Talk.
Ass whooping. You think of Dallas, they was waiting for that game. You know, they like that. Ass whooping. When you think of the Jets, they've heard all summer.
Aaron Rodgers.
They've heard all summer. ass whooping, you know, and now the Vikings, they beat them last year. They not only did they beat them, I mean, the Niners pretty much handed them the game in the fourth quarter, you know, so I think coming in this game, and did you see what Nick Bosa was saying about how the Vikings are a team they have to be better prepared for? They're locked the fuck in. And I think that for me, I think the Niners, I might change my mind. I think the Niners might come in there and whip Minnesota's ass.
Are we all getting moved? Let me not say all because I'm still kind of 50-50. Niners, the team to beat in the NFC.
Been saying that. Never stop saying that.
I'm like
Some people like Detroit. You like Detroit.
I do
What's
like
your
Detroit.
idea?
Right now I'm 50-50.
Yeah.
I think in terms
I
of
think
the
the
one
Niners
seed,
can wash Detroit.
in terms of the one seed, I'm 50-50. I think my favorite to come out though is San Fran.
My favorite to come out is Detroit. But I think as far as record goes, I think I'm leaning Detroit as well.
I am not.
You know what I mean? When it comes to the one seed, I think it can be
not
Detroit.
moved by Detroit secondary yet.
Agreed. I don't think it's good still.
It does not.
I don't
move
think
me
it's
at all.
good
highly
still.
projectable.
If Carlton Davis is not good, that is a issue.
Yeah.
And I think I just
Terran
saw.
Arnold.
Yes.
Terrion wasn't.
You know,
is
he
it
was
Terrion?
solid.
Terrion?
I don't know how to say.
I know it's
Arnold.
Terrion.
There's an eye in there.
Arnold's
not.
eye.
He was. Carlton was horrendous. He was horrendous. One of my other plays that I had that I sent in was Baker
And what-
Mayfield 268
The Niners
and a
can
half.
make that matchup, part two, look very different than the first matchup. You know, they could come out with a different energy. They could wash Detroit. So I don't know.
Detroit was up 3 scores against them in the NFC Championship game
Yeah, I don't know if that
without a year of
Excuse me.
playoff experience moving into
I don't know if
playoff.
that happens again, honestly.
A sleepy.
Why not? Their whole line got better. Jameson Williams.
The secondary didn't get better.
They added a lot to that secondary.
What are we talking about? This
talking about
Detroit?
Lions.
Detroit.
I mean, they tried.
Adding
No,
Detroit
I'm not saying they
Robinson.
didn't try. I'm just saying, like, from
They
watching
added
it now,
so
all
much
right,
that secondary.
unfair because Sean McVay's a genius. Matthew Stafford's a dog.
okay.
Let's
They had no
see how
one
it
in
looks
that
this week.
cornerback room.
And
Okay.
I
Outside of
agree.
Brian Branch.
I'm still anticipating a good game by the Bucks, and this one's a sneaky trap game. This could be an upset, truthfully.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with the Lions secondary is that Carlton Davis should be playing better because he's a veteran. But with Rakestraw and Arnold, we're not going to know who they are until the second half of the season because they could very well struggle in the first half, then figure it out. Kind of like the Green Bay Packers did, young team. They figured it out in the second half, and they could play much better. So that's a
I love Branch.
that's a
he's like
entire
that.
season kind of wait and see where they are once the playoffs come around. Because if they're playing at an elite level in the playoffs,
Their
then
defense got better.
No, they're
I know.
here. They're here.
I think the 49ers got better from last year. And I mean,
Yeah.
if,
And that was hard.
barring any injuries, they should come out the NFC.
the offensive line getting better
barring
is honestly
injuries.
what's moving me the most.
Like John,
I know.
the Niners got better from last year, and that was hard to do already.
Yeah, it's valid, but I do worry about Christian McCaffrey after leading the NFL in touches getting hurt.
don't after
They're about to
what
put him
I
on
just
IR.
seen. I
he
mean,
hasn't
like-
even played yet. He's already on IR probably.
Danny McCaffrey.
They
we'd
need
we'd love
McCaffrey,
him.
but
We'd love
Jordan
him.
Mason is good enough to where they can wait and give
Yeah, that's true.
McCaffrey
Agreed.
some rest, give him some, like, yo, you're good.
Give him
But,
like the-
Do you see their next 4 games? It's really nothing for the Niners. It's nothing.
I'm not worried about their regular season schedule. I'm more concerned about if CMC's healthy in the playoffs.
It's all right, brother.
I think he'll
Give
be
him
fine
give
in
him
the
time. Hey, you missed the first 4 weeks.
They should
You're
take
a
it
super
slow.
sub for us the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine in the playoffs. Like, I think he'll be healthy in play. I mean, like, if you're not healthy week 1, but you'll be fine.
You saw what he did last playoffs.
Now I understand why you think that
incredible.
the Niners can just go into Minnesota and they could beat them based off what happened last year. I think Minnesota's defense is going to be elite this year.
I respect Brian Flores.
I think
No, I
Minnesota
do.
can
I
be.
mean-
I think you could be elite defense to get.
I mean,
destroyed,
Brian
though.
Flores
We can
is
just see
like
it.
that.
probably behind Spags, the second best defensive
Lou Anarumo?
coordinator. He's better than
better.
Anarumo.
Wow, okay.
Brian Flores
A
was the
year
one that
ago-
designed the game plan against the Rams offense.
A year ago, we were talking about the Vikings, and you were fading them because you didn't believe he was a miracle worker. And I told you he was a
Yes,
miracle
We
worker.
told him. We told
We
him.
did.
Yeah, I mean, because you saw the talent. They
Yeah.
didn't have
They
nothing.
didn't have much.
The Niners just butt fucked the Jets defense. I think they could, no, and that's not even. Brian Flores is amazing. I'm not saying he's not. Minnesota's defense, I think, is going to be really good. I think elite defenses can have.
If you take all the defensive minds in football, is he top 5?
Flores, most likely.
Ah,
Belichick's
McDonald?
gone. Yes.
Mike McDonald and Brian Flores, I think, is more of a conversation because Mike McDonald just came onto the scene. We got multiple years of Brian
okay.
Flores.
But
doing
I'm
this.
asked if you had to choose right now on the spot.
If I had to choose, I think I would still take Brian Flores' resume. He's accomplished more. Mike McDonald, this
It's only 1
conversation
year.
can
Wow, that's a
change
track record.
with Mike McDonald, but it's only been 1 year with Mike McDonald. So we
All right,
got to see.
Fair.
Gerard Mayo?
I'm going with Brian Flores.
Yeah, it's too soon.
Okay. Interesting. Robert Saleh.
I'm going with Brian Flores.
Cheers.
I would go Flores as well.
Robert Saleh has
He's up there.
led some amazing defenses.
absolutely.
Yeah, but Robert Saleh also was stubborn in Seattle's cover 3 scheme. He doesn't move off of that. And that's why we saw Kyle Shanahan humble him. Like
He might humble Brian Flores.
the loss we had to the 49ers, it was like a humbling of Kyle Shanahan just schooling Robert Saleh. Like all the weaknesses in your defense, I'm going to pick them the hell apart. And that's exactly what he did. And that's why the Jets, for me, we have the talent, but that coaching, that's the biggest question mark with the team.
But Shanahan could do that to any coach in the league, to be fair.
It depends. Not every single one. He didn't do it to C Spagnuolo.
I'm sorry.
D'Amico Ryans.
We didn't mention Spags. That's number one.
He
Honestly.
said
Spags
Spags.
number
He said
one.
Spags.
That's fair. That's
Okay.
fair.
But
That's fair.
D'Amico
D'Amico.
is gonna mention.
I'm going Brian Flores.
Yo, what are we doing?
I think that's a toss up between those two.
McDonald, D'Amico. Honestly, I would contemplate Robert.
McDermott,
Why?
Tomlin.
McDermott is
Saleh?
up
I mean,
Yeah.
bro,
there. McDermott is up there.
Well, Saleh last 2 seasons has had one of the best defense in the league, and
with
that
great
was
talent.
agreed. But you got to go out there and execute.
I know, but he's had great talent. Last year, Brian Flores did not have that talent. Like we're talking about if Brian Flores was not the defensive coordinator for the Vikings last year, they would have been one of the worst defenses in the league. He literally turned one of the worst defenses in the league when Daniel
worst.
Jones had 300 yards passing on that defense in a
31st.
playoff game to one of the better defenses in the league.
cooking.
Like Brian Flores, to me, he doesn't get appreciated enough for what he does on the defensive side of the ball.
Vic Fangio, not even a conversation.
I wouldn't say.
Oh,
right
Vic
now.
Fangio, he's just revolutionized how we play defense
Yes.
today. So I could go with Vic Fangio.
Thank you for
I don't,
respecting him.
I don't feel any sort of that is kind of like a pull. It's kind of like a respect thing for me.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio is a pioneer.
Yeah,
But at
definitely.
the same time, Brian Flores is one of those innovators as well. Like last year, the way the Vikings played defense, nobody in the NFL defense coordinator wise would have even dared to do the things that he did. And he goes to those extremes to find the best possible outcomes for his defense. And that's what I feel like separates him. But yes, Brian Flores is on a very short list of defensive guys.
Todd Bowles, last one.
I'm going with Brian
Show
Flores.
some
mentioned
respect. Sean McDermott is in this conversation.
Sean McDermott.
I would put Bowles above McDermott and maybe Tomlin. Maybe Tomlin. I don't know.
well,
The issue
do we
with
count
Sean
Tomlin?
McDermott,
Or are you going to count Tomlin in this conversation?
Tomlin's more of a culture builder than
Yeah,
a defensive
I agree.
guru.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
he's still a very, very good defensive
the difference
coach.
with Sean McDermott is I feel like he has a great regular season defense, but in the playoffs, his defense
Not
can
ideal,
fall
not
apart.
ideal.
And Brian Flores has those game plans in the playoffs where they get to a higher level.
Damn, Brian Flores over Anarunmo.
Yes.
Even though Anarunmo didn't really have overwhelming talent either.
No.
Well, he had Jesse Bates, he had DJ Reader, he had Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, those three.
He had some. The linebacker duo was
Mike
really
Hilton.
great.
Logan Wilson definitely did play well that season.
Yeah, and Jermaine Pratt too. I mean, Lou Anarumo, I
Chidobe
think he's a
Wiz
great
good man.
defensive mind, but he's not Brian Flores. He's not. Brian Flores is in an elite tier company.
We really haven't
Flores-
seen people stop Mahomes or limit Mahomes.
No,
Like,
we haven't.
The way
And
that
Lou-
Anarumo has.
And Lou Anarumo deserves a lot of credit for what he did. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, we can't hold on to just that one moment when we have last year, they were one of the worst defenses in the league. And then this year, we don't even know if they're going to be a good or average defense.
agree,
So
wholeheartedly.
Brian Flores, I just feel like the game plan he had against the Rams, which was one of the most high-scoring offenses in NFL history, you limit them to 9 points. I mean, you win that Super Bowl because of your defense, and it's widely noted and documented that Brian Flores was the game plan designer behind that. And to execute at that level, that's why I have so much respect. And then what he
What
did
year
in
was that?
Miami,
2019.
Yep.
like Miami,
2018.
New England,
19.
right?
yes,
Yeah.
New England's defense
2018,
was OD.
Yeah, I know, but
talent wise,
No, it was insane.
that shit was ridiculous.
It was.
Stephon Gilmore.
That was his DPOY year.
Yes.
I don't know.
I believe
his
so.
DPOY year. I'm
2020.
almost positive he lost.
Yeah.
They lost in the first round.
Because he won DPOY my junior year. And I felt like
Yes.
I should have went to TJ Watt.
Yeah, had a bye.
2019-20 was Gilmore's DPOY
No.
year.
2019
well,
or 2018.
2019-20.
Whatever year he won DPOY. They lost that first game to the
Yeah,
Titans.
yeah.
I thought
and
that was
then
a bye
with the
year.
Miami Dolphins, I mean, they were actively tanking, and the roster was shot. And the first
the
year
worst
wasn't
roster in
good. I mean,
football.
it was the worst. Exactly.
As
But
a
the
head
next-
coach, not great, but as a defensive play caller, I agree.
Yeah, but the next 2 years, you have a 500 record off the back and strength of your defense. And then you go to Minnesota and this talentless unit, now that all the players now that they have become household names because of Brian Flores, like Josh Metellus, Ivan Pace Jr., Andrew Van Ginkel really broke out with Brian Flores back when they were in Miami together. Like, it's because of Brian Flores. So
Van Ginkel really broke out last season.
Yeah.
He's
Like
always
with
been
Fangio.
he's always been a really good player. Like, he's always been that. Last year was his best year in the league. He had the most value.
Without
but
Brian.
He's always been a good player. And Brian Flores, he coached them up at the beginning. So that's why I got so much respect for Brian Flores as defensive coordinator. Like a head coach, he might not get another opportunity because of all the politics behind it and also how he handled Tua, but that's only a good thing for the Vikings. Like there's only a select few of defensive coordinators that are not going to get a head coaching job. Spagnuolo is kind of fine being a DC. I think Brian Flores is also at that point where he's fine with it as well. And that's just a plus for those teams because they have head coach caliber defensive minds as coordinators, and that's why they're going to be so great.
And they have the top tier offensive minds too for the Chiefs and the Vikings. So it's
that's why the Vikings that trajectory is going up, man. That defense is really good. Before we move on to this week in the NBA NFL, I don't know if you gave your lock, Riv, 49ers over the Vikings.
Patriots too. Don't ever sleep.
That's your
upset?
Upset.
Yes. Those are locks too.
Do any of you guys feel this bad juju in the air with just everybody overwhelmingly picking KC to beat Cincinnati? Like I saw a bunch of ESPN shows today and the entire graphic is just Chiefs.
Get ready for that the whole season.
Yes, I know. And it's nothing but respect to the Chiefs. But at the same time, I feel like when everybody picks the same team to win, and we're victims of it because we're all picking the Chiefs as well, it just feels like the team that's getting counted out just comes out and they come out and they win a game.
What if there's not good enough to win?
Oh, shit.
And that could be the case. I mean, so you're predicting a convincing blowout.
We talked about this before. Yeah, I think the Chiefs win by multiple scores.
Really?
Yeah. Bro, I'm going to be honest. I look at that Bengals offense, and beyond Jamar Chase, it's just a bunch of unestablished role players. And after watching how good Leo Chanel play last week, they completely stifled Derrick Henry. If the Bengals can't get anything going on the ground, then it's really just Burrow and Chase, and there's nothing else you can really look to.
And, we don't know how it's going to happen, but we'll see if Zach Taylor and company bring their A game at Arrowhead. That's one thing for sure.
Hope so. Mm-hmm. I would love to see him win.
Yeah.
Make me happy.
If this game is close, I'm going to be pissed off it wasn't on prime time. If this game is very close.
That's true.
It's still technically prime time. Like, they still call the 4 o'clock, like the big game of the 4 o'clock prime time.
Right? Yeah, because is it on Fox or CBS?
I think it's going to.
Because it's AFC team.
Let me
so
not pretend like
CBS.
it might be CBS. Facts.
Yeah, because Fox be having that game of the week, America's game of the week thing. This week in the NFL/NBA, what I wanted to talk about a couple things. So Mina Combs posted this on her Twitter. Teams play too high 60% of the time in week 1. 5 years ago, that was at 38.4%. League-wide, and the reason why we're not getting great offensive performances and especially not great quarterback performances is because the way defenses are playing quarterbacks now. For a while, we've had this offensive boom where defense coordinators really just had no idea how to stop these offenses. And now things are kind of evening out now to the point that I say they might be more on the side of the defense and they're able to limit offenses in more ways because of those disguises that they use pre-snap and then get into post-snap, the real coverages. I wanted to talk about Jamar Chase's contract, 4 years, $140 million, $90 million guarantee that he declined. But the reason that he declined it is because his injury guarantee didn't kick in until 2027, and he wants that security earlier in his contract, and that makes sense. And when you look at it at face value, it's like, oh, Jamar Chase is, he's just being greedy. He wants all this money, but it's because of the injury guarantee. And I think that for a Bengals team to where the ownership isn't paying a lot of blue chip players, you have to pay your guys like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I'm not a big fan of paying 2 wide receivers, but if you're not paying anybody else, you got to pay those great players on your team. The 49ers are thinking about putting CMC on IR, and I think it leaves a lot of room for Jordan Mason to now have a really great couple stretch of weeks, and I think he's a really good back. And then the last one is that the Seahawks in week 1, they played every single type of coverage. 17% cover 1, 10% cover 2, 21% quarters, and 17.5% cover 6. Mike McDonald does not let you get a head on what he is playing defensively, and that's why it's so hard to play against his defense. And I've been high on the Seahawks before the season. I'm even higher on them now watching week 1, even if it was against the Broncos, because this defensive personnel is so damn elite. I was watching week 1 and the two standouts were Julian Love and Leonard Williams, two former Giants. Julian Love can have an all-pro season this year. He is that good. He had 12 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, a forced fumble, an interception. Leonard Williams was all over the place. But then you have Byron Murphy and Boye Mafe, Tyrell Dotson, Jerome Baker, Rayshawn Jenkins, who's physical. And when I think about their cornerback duo, Reek Woolen and Devon Witherspoon, given their age and their potential, I don't think there's a cornerback duo that I would take in the NFL over them. They're that good. I think those are two superstar caliber corners that they have. Bland? That's a conversation. They got to play healthy
young.
together.
Yeah, they do, but they're young. They're like 24, 25.
That's a conversation.
What about Denzel and Newsome?
I would take Woolen and Witherspoon.
Okay. Sauce and Reed?
I would take Woolen and Witherspoon because Reed is the weak link there. Okay. Even though he's had some good seasons, but Sauce is the only guy that's a superstar.
What about PS2 and McMillan?
I'm taking Woolen and Witherspoon.
Okay.
Sertan is carrying that.
What about
McMillan's like that,
good,
OD.
but he's not Witherspoon.
No, he's not.
Gonzalez and Jones.
I'll say this though,
New England.
It's close.
Did Reek have that great of a season last season?
Last year he was elite in man coverage and zone coverage. He was,
which is a lot of what defenses are playing.
I know,
nowadays.
but now he's being coached better, and I think it'll be better for him.
And Tariq.
I like that.
I think
Tyreek
that's
Stevenson's good.
That's a good one.
Really good.
That's a great one.
Yes, Tyreek Stevenson's ceiling.
Now Jalen's amazing.
The reason why I would pick the Seahawks is because Tyreek Stevenson's ceiling is still a wait and see. Is he just a good corner? Or is he elite tier corner? Jalen Johnson's one of the best corners in football.
He's elite.
But it's a short list that you even consider. I think these two guys are superstars. And especially when you take into account Witherspoon and what he brings as a tackler, as a blitzer, there's just so many different ways you can play him.
Other teams.
Adebo and Lattimore, but Lattimore's getting a little up there.
Yeah. Witherspoon is to Seattle what Trent McDuffie is to Kansas City. The way that Casey uses him, that's how they use
taking them
Witherspoon
two over McDuffie and Snead?
No. Snead and McDuffie were the best
shit is
corners
unbelievable.
Just making sure.
The fact they had that shit at Mahomes in the top 5 on lines is disgusting to think about.
But that's why I feel so passionate about the Seahawks defense, because the young talent on this unit, like, we're gonna be looking back at this moment as the beginning of like one of the league's best defenses, like a year or two from now.
This week in the NFL, Troy Fautanu going to be starting most likely this Sunday versus Denver. And this is a huge thing because if you're a Steeler fan, you know our offensive line coach loves to fuck around and just start everyone out of position. Last year we had Broderick Jones, a first-round pick we traded up for, playing out of position the entire year. But now he finally slides back into his normal position from college at left tackle, Fautanu at right. And then for this week in the NBA, this is something that really shocked me, last than I expected. There was a prospect in the 2021 NBA draft who's my age, who in college played at Duke, had a lot of ankle injuries. He was a top 12 recruit, played in New York, not too far from here, only about an hour out. And he was someone who we all deemed if he could get right his ankle, he could be a really good role player in the NBA. And that's AJ Griffin. And he's reported to be stepping away from basketball at 21, which is crazy. Last year, he might have dealt with some injuries, but
he got traded or on tweet?
He just got traded to the Rockets.
Stuff last year.
He did just get dealt, right?
Last year, he found himself out the rotation. Seems like he may be dealing with some personal stuff. Damn. But when I saw that report, it was kind of shocking to me because he was someone I was a huge fan of watching. And it was really bizarre last year when he wasn't getting any burn at all for a Hawk team that kind of needed a skill set. So that was something that really stood out to me. It was like kind of weird to see someone who's like actually a month younger than me retiring from basketball, because I'm sure if he gets back on like the right, I'm sure it's something personal. If he gets back onto that track and want to play basketball again, I feel like he could be a really nice role player.
I don't know how he gets rotation in Houston. That's a tough squad to get minutes from you. Do you have anything?
I do. Now, week 1 of the NFL season was an exciting one. But how well were you guys paying attention to week 1 and what happened? I want you guys to name me the top 10 in receiving yards of week 1. 2 strikes.
A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown, number 5, with 119 yards.
Cooper Kupp.
Number 7, 110 yards.
Jaden Reed,
number 1, 138 receiving yards.
May I ask what's the number at the bottom, the lowest guy?
That's a fair question.
That's a good one. I
appreciate that.
89 receiving yards.
So Smitty is not up
GP
there.
was so close.
I will not say anything.
I don't remember if he got over 77. Smitty, the last time I saw him, he was at 77.
I want to guess that.
Nah, I'm gonna wait. Let me think of teams. Just let me think of teams.
5.
Can I get 10?
No.
Rashad Shaheed.
Oh, he had a lot of yards total.
He did have a lot of yards, but he unfortunately is not here. Number 16 with 73.
Okay.
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams, number 4, 121 receiving yards.
Great pull. Okay, there's one player I'm thinking of. He might be number 10. Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin is unfortunately not here. Number 13 with 83 yards.
83.
Mike Evans is not here either.
Wow.
Number 21 with 61 yards.
I knew Godwin was right on the border, and when I said
All right,
it, I'm
Joel,
like, he
go
ain't
crazy.
getting that shit.
I'm just listening to his sentence.
No, I'm with you.
Alec
I know.
Pierce.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're locked. Number 3, 125.
Nice. Okay.
All right, John, you need to get this right or you lose.
I know. Okay. Can I pontificate this like a shot
What?
clock type
Good
of
words.
thing?
Good word.
Pontificate means kind of like process this, kind of think about
Why'd you
this for a
say it?
moment.
I'm cool with that.
I hated it.
I loved it.
I guarantee 88% of our viewers don't know what that word means.
Pontificate?
And they were getting smarter because of John.
Shout out
Maybe,
to John. I bet you
possibly.
won't get this right.
Oh, shit.
You did all that pontificating.
5.
Yeah, you worry about me. Worry about the countdown.
4, 3, 2.
Answer.
Rasheed Rice.
Bang. Number 9. Clutched it. That's why you were like, oh, she. I was like, no. 103 yards.
said
Number
the
9.
wrong Rasheed.
You did.
How many do we get? Do we got left?
So you have,
Why don't we get 3 strikes? I'm just curious.
because there's only 10.
Oh, okay.
So there's number 2. You have number 2 left. You have number 6 left. Number 8 and number 10.
So we're forgetting a 100-yard game here.
Multiple.
Oh, multiple.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot left. You already said Mike Evans, and it wasn't that.
Nah, he didn't have a big game.
Yeah, just the 2 TDs. I thought they were big plays.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with
5.
Nico Collins.
Motherfucking Cook. Number 6, 117 yards. Go nuts. Come on, Johnny.
Okay, what numbers do we have left?
Do it again.
Number 2. Number 8 and number 10.
2, 8, and 10.
Everybody's birthday come around once. See if you can do it again.
Okay.
Pontificate.
Fair. Okay. I'm going through different matchups.
That's cool. Do that.
Yeah.
Take your time. But clock's ticking, by the way.
OD.
5.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
wow.
Wait, hold up.
Hold
Give
up
me a
nothing.
second. I don't have a single thought on my mind.
That's your
I
fucking
need a
problem.
second.
You wanted to pontificate. Now you can't think.
Rafe, I'm going to need you to be quiet.
All right, my fault. You've never
5.
asked me to be quiet, by the way. But when the white guys go, I see what's going on.
2.
I don't have a single player that's coming to mind.
Ah!
I'm
Everybody's
trying
Give me
to
an
birthday.
answer. Just give me an answer. Hurry
Oh,
up.
wait,
I
what?
don't have one.
3, 2, 1.
I don't
Wow.
have one. I'm thinking.
All right, you're done. Strike 2.
Tight ends are in this, right?
We're just going receivers.
Just receivers.
Just receivers.
Just wide receivers.
Just wide receivers.
Use them.
Okay.
Try it. Smith.
Okay.
Try it.
We've only been naming receivers. Obviously, there are some tight ends that did well. Only one, though.
Yeah, Isaiah
We all
Likely.
know. Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I was going to
Fair.
name him
Yes.
next. Okay, we have what? 4 more left.
Number 2, number 8, and number 10.
Try Smitty.
Okay, let me think about this. So
Try Smitty.
nobody on the Giants.
Hell no.
Nobody on the Commanders. You already named somebody on the Eagles. You
Might be
named
another
AJ
guy.
Brown. Maybe it is. I'm gonna wait on that.
All right,
though.
all right, just take your time. I'm gonna help you out here.
On the Cowboys, I don't think CeeDee Lamb got that.
No, he did not. He had 50 something.
CeeDee Lamb ain't get
I
that.
got you, bro.
NFC West.
5. Answer.
Just say him. Just say Smitty.
Devontae Smith.
No, he didn't have it. Smitty is number 12, though, 84 yards. Now,
Give me a second. I want to think
You're
of these
done.
players. I know.
so
I know
that
I'm
was strike.
done,
He did
but-
he did lose. You did
Yeah,
lose.
I know.
You did
I'm
win.
still trying to think.
did
But
win,
you're
though.
at both 2 strikes.
No. Joel had more.
He just got 2 strikes right now.
Wait, I don't. How many did I get wrong? I just got one
No,
wrong.
you won.
yeah, 2 wrong.
You won.
Oh.
Yeah. So do you want me to tell you
What was
who-
my second one wrong?
Before you tell,
No,
me,
that
I
was
wanna
your
at least
second
you
one.
know his
guessed
name.
Mike
Mike Evans.
No, we didn't. You guessed Mike Evans. Someone guessed
I
Mike
just
Evans.
guessed Smitty. That was the only one.
No,
I got
you
wrong.
did
No,
guess
you guessed
another
somebody
one.
before that. Let's see if we can get it, though. You said we have 2,
That's
8, and
what
10?
Yeah.
2, 8, and 10.
I'm just thinking of teams.
That's
and
a
I
good
can't-
thing. Joel, I think you're right. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
only got one wrong.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these logos to get a glance
All
at
right,
it.
I'm going to be
helps.
transparent with you guys. I'm shocked you haven't gotten this
Me
right.
too. Yeah.
I'm absolutely floored.
When it comes to
Oh my
it's
god,
like-
we didn't say Tyreek Hill.
Yes, or
Oh yeah, you're
or-
right.
I'm sorry. It's so much.
when you
more
ask the questions, like
yeah.
the mind dies.
I'm
Like,
It's so
literally
much
here
hard to
looking at the
track when I
camera,
don't have it in
and I'm
front of me.
like,
No, because I thought he was guessed. I would have said Tyreek.
okay, yes, Tyreek Hill had 130 yards.
nice.
Number 8, lock in.
That shit was easy.
Gettable.
It was easy. You didn't get it, though.
I was thinking of teams, and I got put on a timer. I know
He
that.
did get it. To be fair, he did get it.
He-
He got it, though. He got it.
Come on.
The
All
You
right,
guys
you
already
forget number
said
8.
Chris Godwin, right?
Yeah, that's
Is that
someone did say
Somebody's
Godwin.
acting a little different here. That turned the pot.
No cap. Hey, number 8. You have him.
I have.
You have it. You have it.
I can't believe I didn't think of it immediately.
I have him.
You have it.
I have him.
Wait, is it?
Where?
It's Justin Jefferson.
No,
It's not Jettis.
No. Jettis only had 50.
Yeah.
Who do I have?
Joel, you have number 10.
He's not helping. He's just saying it.
You have number 10. You have number 10. I have number 8.
You have number
But that
8.
means you have number 8.
Ah, shit. If I have it, we have it together?
Not necessarily, but I can't give this answer. But you have number 8. You probably have number 8 too. But you have 10.
He did not help me. Me and John don't have anything together.
No.
So why would I have 8?
Because I have 8. But I can't speak. So someone has 8. Who has 8? You.
This is terrible, bro. You're mind fucking us.
I'm really thinking to try to understand what you're saying.
Cortland's son?
No.
Oh hell no.
Oh, definitely not.
Hell no is right. He was
I'm
horrendous.
sorry.
Yeah.
Number 10. You have it. Think about it.
I'm trying.
I'm trying really hard.
Yeah, I am trying.
I'm really trying my best here.
Let's think.
Okay. I'll give you guys some time. But I'll tell you what. Number 8.
Debo Samuel.
Not a bad guess. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad guess.
That was a good guess.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, I have it.
Wide receivers. It's not Jamar. It's not Jamar.
No.
It's not Jamar.
No.
I just want to get him out the way. It's
Agreed.
not Jamar. He's at 66.
Oh my god.
I have it.
I might have it.
Jalen Waddle.
Yes, it's Jalen Waddle.
That doesn't help me, though.
That was easy. You
Yes,
should've gotten
it
that.
was.
That was so easy.
It was. It
How
was.
was it easy, John?
Because him and Tyreek both had.
They both had-
insane
But
games.
you didn't say anything.
I'm
He got
thinking of
both
other-
of them. Well, he didn't
I'm
get
thinking
Jalen.
of-
He didn't get Jalen, but he got
I'm thinking
Tyreek.
of other
He's
teams.
saying, Drew, what's killing
This
me
is- this is how I'm
what's
pontificating.
He's saying it's easy
Yeah.
after sitting with me
Yes.
for 10 minutes thinking.
But listen, this is how I'm pontificating.
You're not
I'm
doing
going.
it well.
I'm going team by team, and when I went to the AFC East, I just skipped over the
John,
Dolphins.
can I ask kindly that you stop using the word now?
I was using it as a
now
joke.
you're over.
I was, that, all right,
Joel.
that was a joke. That was
You
a joke.
have 10.
Tyler Lockett.
Not a bad guess, but no.
He has 70.
Yes. Joel, I believe in you.
Why do you think I have it?
Because you have it.
Like in my fantasy team or something?
No. You're on the right track.
Was it? No, it wasn't Garrett, right?
No,
Garrett was shitty.
it wasn't Wicks.
Hell.
No.
Um,
Definitely
It's
wasn't.
not Wicks.
Definitely had 0.
Oh my
you might
God.
be
was
at
like
the
88
bottom
off.
of the filter.
Should I see what rank he's at?
0.
312.
Hold on.
Tied for 312.
He has to be like at the bottom.
Man, is NFC or AFC?
AFC.
Was it? No.
Let
Okay.
it fly. Let it
I
fly.
was gonna say Chris Olave.
No, it's definitely not.
If you're
Okay,
saying he
I'm
has
trying to
10,
get his-
Olave
it's
had
one-
11 yards.
he has 10.
It's one of his teams.
He has 10.
Oh,
It's
it's
one
Garrett
of
Wilson.
No, it's not Garrett
No,
Wilson.
it's one of his teams though. Think of his teams.
Okay, Broncos, Chargers. No, they didn't have a 100-yard receiver. The Chiefs, we already named Rasheed Rice.
Xavier Worthy.
No.
Fuck.
That was a good guess.
Because of rush.
And then the Raiders, nobody had it on there. AFC North, the Ravens, it was just likely. And
You
then
said Pickens.
the
He was
Bengals.
number 11.
yeah.
Steelers,
85.
no.
Nobody.
And then the Browns, no.
You have it.
AFC South,
He just skipped over the team.
You have it.
He just landed
You
right
have
over
it.
You
them.
just skipped
Not
over the team.
him. Not
You
him.
just skipped over the team. Lockett.
Definitely not me.
You have it.
Is it in Cincinnati? Anybody have 100?
no.
Or
Keep
80,
thinking
70?
that way.
I'll be
A little bit
honest.
south.
This is difficult. But that is why you have it.
Okay, let me lock
It
in.
must be in Cincinnati.
It's not a smart thing. It's a difficult name, but you have it.
Brother, a bum had 70.
No, Bum had 89.
A bum had 89. Cincinnati. It's in Cincinnati.
No.
No.
It's in the AFC North, though.
No.
South.
I already named Alec Pierce.
You did.
Wait,
You cooked.
That was a good guess.
Come on.
it can't be him.
It is.
Is it Alan Lazard?
It is Alan Lazard. 89
Oh, shit.
yards.
He had 89.
That
The
shit-
garbage
that shit
time
shouldn't
went
count.
stupid.
That shit should not count.
That's fire.
I knew that I dragged it out because I knew that we'd get there.
I thought it was Zay when you're like, you're right there. I'm like, oh, it might be Zay, but no. Yeah.
I tried to keep the guesses very niche.
Absolutes.
All right. So I have a would you rather, but I want to do it a little differently.
No blind ranking.
I do have that too, but
Let's
I
go.
think the would you rather is a little bit more fun.
I'd rather both.
Okay, we can do both. The would you rather is I'm gonna give you a name, right? And you guys start with that name. Then I'm gonna give you another name. So say for example, would you rather Joel
King of the Hill type shit.
Yeah, would you rather
I'm here.
Joel or John? If you pick John, we go to John or Drew, and then we keep going. Okay.
So you can just call it King of the Hill.
So we're doing a traditional King of the Hill. The first, you understand the rules?
Yes.
You understand the rules? Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Whoever wins of the two goes on
You
to the next
understand
round.
the rules?
I'm here.
It's majority vote.
Yeah.
First names up, I should say. John Wall or Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas. At his very best, I'm going.
We're going
Gilbert
very
Arenas.
best for everybody.
All right, so this is 2017 John Wall versus like 2004 Gil. I might go 2017 John Wall.
Just think at their best. You don't even got to throw it near. We know ball.
I'll go Gil.
Gil.
Yes.
Gil.
I would go John Wall.
Gil
All right,
has
yes,
made it to
Gil.
the next round. Gilbert Arenas or LaMelo Ball.
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas.
You got outvoted. Doesn't even matter.
Okay.
Gilbert Arenas or Mike Conley.
Gilbert Arenas.
Easily Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas or
Respect
Rajon
Mike.
Rondo.
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert.
You got outvoted.
My God!
At what?
Rajon!
Gilbert Arenas was 29 a game.
The defense Rajon was giving
And the
you also
playmaking.
one of the
I love
best
stuff like this.
playmaking
Yeah.
guards.
Bro,
That'd be a
Rajon
two-time
Rondo.
Playoff Rondo?
two-time NBA
Come
champ.
on.
Rajon
He
Rondo
was
in a
averaging 14
role
as
Come
well.
is better.
on.
Elite guard.
Rajon
defender.
Rondo's not
I would-
carrying no team.
But I would still take Gilbert Arenas.
I guess you wouldn't say he's carrying a team. That's fair, but he was a crucial part of championship teams.
Yes, if you put a
Arguably the
29
second
point per game
most
Gilbert
important
Arenas
player.
on any stacked team, they're going crazy.
You guys got a point.
Are they?
Rajon
Yes.
was playing with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Tony Allen.
If you put 29 points per
Caron
game,
Butler was on that Wizards team.
Butler, Jameson, and,
Antoine
It's
Jameson.
not a bad trio.
man, if you put Gilbert Arenas on the 2020
after
bubble Lakers best Gilbert Arenas, that's way better than that Rajon.
I don't know.
Rondo.
Rajon Rondo definitely, that was the best version of Rondo we've seen
Yes.
in years.
But Gilbert Arenas was the top 3 scorer in the NBA.
Was he?
At his best season,
Top 3.
he was definitely one of the best scorers in the NBA. I don't know if it's
I was
top
going to
3.
say,
At that point
that's
in time,
strong.
What was
Him,
that? What? 04?
like 04-ish.
You had Kobe, you had T-Mac.
I was going to say,
Those two.
LeBron.
After those two.
Oh, 4? Facts. I'm lying.
After those two.
I'm
Who was
lying.
it?
Oh, 4
Was
you said?
Shaq still there?
Yeah.
Shaq in
was the-
04? Yeah.
Yes, that was the year they went. AI, would you?
I was
st-
still hanging
Yep.
around.
Yeah.
He was definitely up there. He was
He's a
up
good
there. He was
scorer, though.
Top 3 might be
Yes.
crazy.
All right. So
No,
we'll
it
take.
wasn't.
You guys said both. Gil.
Gilbert Arenas or Kemba Walker?
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert.
Gilbert Arenas or Darren Williams?
Gilbert Arenas.
Darren Williams. Come
I
on.
respect that.
Now. Come on.
That
Kidding
was
me?
tough.
I
You said it
respect
way
Kidding me?
tough.
No,
You said
it's
way
tough.
tough.
It was.
Way
I'm gonna
too
go
tough.
with-
Top 3.
Yeah,
top 3
Darren
point guard
was
in the NBA.
different.
Yeah, you just said it a little too fast for my liking, but
No, Darren was great, and then he fell off. But I understand this is just
So
at their
did Gil.
peaks.
at their
No,
best.
I know.
At their best. For
But
sure.
at their best, I thought Gilbert was just more explosive.
Darren
So you're the
Williams.
tiebreaker here.
Drew, think about it. This is one of
Hey,
the
this is
top
fine if
3
we get a
point
new name in
guards
here. That's okay.
2000.
I do think
2000s.
Darren by a little bit.
Okay, Darren Williams or Steve Nash?
Steve Nash.
Steve.
Steve
Steve Nash or Damian Lillard?
Steve
At their
Nash.
best.
Steve
Steve
Nash.
Nash.
But Damian Lillard at his best makes it a very tight
Steve
combo.
Nash is a 2-time
30
MVP.
and 8.
Steve Nash took a 20-win team, made him a 56-win team overnight.
Okay.
Steve Nash led the
Overnight.
Suns to multiple conference
He
finals.
did. He did.
Steve Nash or James Harden?
James Harden.
Fuck. I
There's
wish
not
you-
even a thought
I
with
wish you
this.
didn't name him.
There's not even a thought with this.
It's John.
John.
This feels like you're the guy here because I think I know where Drew's going.
Please.
I just feel like you're the
going
guy
Nash?
because
No.
You're going Steve
James
Nash.
Harden.
Then it doesn't even matter
I'm
what you
going
said.
Harden, but
James Harden or D Wade?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade's easy.
Okay, that's a no.
Dwayne Wade or Tony Parker?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade for sure.
Also a no.
Dwayne Wade or T Mac?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
Don't get moved by bags. Thank you. It's
No,
Dwayne.
you
Dwayne
gotta-
Wade or Vince Carter?
Dwayne Wade.
Next question. Don't.
Dwayne Wade. I'm joking.
Dwayne Wade or Russell Westbrook?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade or Jason Kidd?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
Thank you.
Dwayne Wade or SGA?
D Wade.
I'm going with Dwayne Wade.
I didn't hate the question though. It was funny. It was funny.
Final name: Dwayne Wade or Luka Doncic?
Luka.
If you were shocked.
Right now, he's better all time. No,
Luka's going to be better all the time.
he will be.
We're talking about right now.
Right now,
As of today. My
No,
brother's got a statue.
I'm going
built.
with Luka.
we cannot forget
Dwayne Wade.
about 06.
It's rigged. Look at
Dwayne
the
Wade.
fouls.
But
Mark Cuban just talked about it on the
of
podcast.
course he did. He's fucking like,
Look at
yeah.
the polls, bro.
36 a game. Come on,
I'm going D Wade.
How many fouls did he have?
I don't give
for
a
like 20
fuck.
fouls.
Dwayne Wade.
Is the reason why they're fouling him?
Come on,
They couldn't
Luka
stop
will
him.
be one day. He's not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
gonna
like
bank
people
on
that were
it.
taking Harden over him. And that's not a slight to Luka. Harden is an all-time great. Harden's not better than Wade.
Yeah.
And Luka right now is not better than Wade either.
Listen,
right now.
Luka's an all-time playoff performer, and he is the better player than D Wade, just like purely at their peak. But Dwayne Wade dropped 36 points per game in the NBA Finals.
Is he just flat out better than him?
I feel like we were robbed.
Because the defense of Dwayne Wade,
Yeah,
a young D
D-Wade was a
Wade.
very good defender, but he wasn't like an elite one. He was a really good one.
What does Dwayne Wade do better offensively than Luka?
Get to the rim.
Get to the rim. His rim touch is crazy.
Pretty easy.
Finishing, yeah.
Shooting,
That's it.
Luka.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
That's it.
Easy.
But
mid range is close.
Playmaking.
Finishing by percentage though is probably
By
really close.
toughness, degree of difficulty.
Yeah, but when you add all that shit,
diversity.
No, I think Dwayne Wade gets to the rim better.
The
But I
creativity.
think mid range, I think 3-point shooting.
Like, who would you say gets to the
mid-range
rim?
might be close.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
I was going to say
Playmaking.
Dwayne's a pretty great
Playmaking
mid-range
Luka.
shooter.
You also got to recognize D-Wade came in the NBA 15 years before, so the evolution of three-point and mid-range shooting also plays into
question.
the hand of Luka.
Honest question. SGA scoring or Luka scoring? Honest question.
Luka.
Because
Luka can do everything.
Luka's a better
on the court.
three-point shooter pretty
so
easily.
can SGA, though. Am
Luka's
I
a
wrong?
better post-up player. I think SGA can get to the rim. He's a little bit more twitchy in his movements.
Yes.
But Luka can just destroy any physical. Like
Yeah.
SGA still struggles with certain matchups. Luka doesn't.
One thing I will say, and that's on me, Luka's post scoring is unbelievable. It's truly special.
Ask DeAndre.
It really is unbelievable, and that's fair. If you want to add that aspect, but getting to the rim, the mid range, the efficiency that he has
sure,
at
yeah,
both,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of why I do ask that question.
Luka's still an efficient mid-range
But the
shooter.
post game definitely can sway it. Luka's
And then Luka in
favor.
the playoffs is like an otherworldly scorer. So, SGA, we haven't seen it yet on a consistent.
I'm with you.
series
SJ's
by
more the
series
bad guy for sure.
basis. Yeah. D-Wade, you lost me with the good defense, but D-Wade.
No, he was
No,
a
I
great
said he was
defender.
a
was a
really
great
good
defender.
defender.
You lost me. Yeah, you lost me. He was a great
All right.
defender.
I
Because when you
think
add in the fact that
I
he
think
can
it's
give you
slightly
help,
semantics.
he can give
Yeah.
you help side defense while still giving you great on ball.
and he was a great
Yeah.
rim protector also.
He wasn't doing all of that at the same time.
Doesn't he
though,
have the
was
most blocks by a shooting
It
guard?
depends on the
He was
year.
yeah, he's up there. Yeah,
Depends
for
on
a
the year.
guard. Yeah,
Yeah, he's one of
But
the best
that's
shot blocking
for sure.
guards in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a really good voice crack action. He was a really good defender though.
just
I
don't
think
like
the
that
gap
really good
between
stuff.
that.
Can you just say he was a great defender?
I
Sorry,
think
we're semantics.
I
now.
think great is reserved for guys like Sidney Moncrief.
he was elite. What the fuck?
Great and elite means the same shit.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It really
no,
does.
not in this podcast.
You've been
This
on
is
this
not
show.
in
You
this
know it
podcast.
does not mean
This
the
is the
same
definition
thing.
of semantics.
Oh, for
Yes,
sure.
yeah, we love it.
We've built this show off semantics.
I agree.
Our best moments have been semantics.
Absolutely.
Now change what you're saying.
He's a great defender.
Sidney Moncrief is an elite guard defender.
Yeah, some shit like that.
If I were
He's
to
one
call
of the best
Dwayne
guard-
Wade
one
an
of the
elite
best
guard
defenders
defender,
ever.
that's wrong?
Yeah.
I would say he's great.
What's up?
Dwayne Wade being an elite guard defender?
It's not wrong. I just think he was maybe a slight,
But he's not great. John, now you're all over the place.
just like a slight tick. I think he was a slight tick below
I'd
because
say
of
great.
usage and the responsibility he had offensively.
thing-
He couldn't
I-
give that much on the ball, so he's oftentimes defending off the
He was
ball.
also
he was
the only
awesome.
scorer on this team most of the time.
But that's just adding the context of why I think he wasn't truly a sensational defender, rather a
Well,
really
Sidney
good one.
Moncrief's teams were OD too.
Of course.
So,
Never won a champ.
they played against Bird and them a lot.
Yep.
They played in the 80s with a Bird and McHale and
Philadelphia.
Parrish.
Philadelphia. those
D
years we're
Wade, he
discussing.
ran into the big three in Boston, and unfortunately, his team was ass.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are going to hear me say D Wade wasn't an elite defender, and they're going to get really hell bent.
I don't think he was elite. I think he was great.
I think he was a really good defender.
Like,
Oh, active hands.
Of course.
you
Great
think
roamer.
Drew is like an elite defender?
Yeah,
elite
that's what I'm
guard
saying.
defender. Okay, yeah, I
So
wouldn't put him in
Chris,
the
though,
Drew.
right?
Drew Holiday can't do what D Wade's going to do offensively, therefore he's
No,
got
we
more
saw.
energy.
We've seen him try to do it. It's
Yeah.
honestly god awful to
Disgusting,
watch.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't put D
Something
Wade
like
in
Julius
that
Randle type
category.
shit, low key.
Oh shit.
Not that bad, but close to.
Let's get active with this
Blind
next.
ranking.
You want to do it to finish the show? Or you want to do it now?
I can do it now.
Yeah, get out the
We're
way.
already in the move. But these are blindly ranking wide receivers that attended Ohio State University.
A lot of guys.
A lot of guys. Get your brains working.
Low key wide receiver you.
Low key. And then I'm going to do another wide receiver you next show. So it's because there's a few of those things. But get your brain moving. Get your brain twerking.
Let's see what I can do.
Slut.
Yes. First name up, Santonio Holmes.
6.
I didn't even know that he went to Ohio State.
He actually was nuts.
What if we get Brian Hartline?
What if
This
you
is
get...
a Super Bowl
6.
MVP right here. 6?
Let me just get my word in
6.
place.
What if he gives us a historical college receiver like JSN who hasn't proven himself in the pros?
I don't give a fuck. I'll take him over him. 6.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
This
So
is
five.
Super
Antonio
Bowl
Holmes,
MVP.
5.
This is Super Bowl MVP.
You sure?
One of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history.
You're sitting
I'm
at
back
5.
to 6.
He had 1,000 with the Jets, no?
You think he had no?
He did
the
most
most
years.
he
He
had
had a
was like
good
900.
number 2 career, solid number 2.
I'm gonna
career.
check if he had 1,000 in a season.
Listen, 6.
Nah, let's rock out with 6.
Let's do it.
No, 5, please.
You're outvoted.
What a joke. Super Bowl MVP. Put him a 6. What are we doing?
Next name, Scary Terry. Your guy.
He did 1,200 Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, it was last year.
All right.
said the
Scary
Jets.
Terry.
Just 4.
4?
Yeah.
I was thinking 5 too, but I could rock with 4.
How much did Santonio Holmes have with the Jets? It wasn't more than 1,000.
You never more than
No,
750.
he was disappointed with the Jets.
a little bit.
Are we
Was
back to? Are we?
Yeah.
Scary Terry 5.
No, 4. Let's do 4.
4 is down.
4.
McLaurin.
You're gonna regret playing San Antonio. at
So you have
6.
4 Terry, 6 San Antonio. Michael Thomas.
Okay.
Top 3?
Hear me out.
Top half.
2.
2 is valid.
There's so many great ones.
His peak. I honestly can be talked into 1.
Absolutely.
I can legitimately
think
be
2
talked
safe.
into it.
2 safe. I like 2.
Do we take the shot on 1?
I mean, who's a better OSU wide receiver off the top of the dome?
Garrett
This is
is
their best,
not
by the
better.
way.
Not better, but just great ones. We
gotta
have
think of some
Garrett,
legends.
Olave, JSN, Marv. That's of recent.
Michael Thomas is 1.
Michael Thomas is
I
1.
can promise you to God, Marvin is not getting touched.
Okay.
Marvin Harrison?
You got to stop doing that, though. It's blind ranking.
Yeah,
You
it's
got to go
blind.
blind.
Yeah, but I also want fair because Marvin hasn't really played enough.
I,
I
you know
want
what?
guys,
And for that,
Hold up.
respect the fuck
yeah, I
out
want
of you.
guys who have played, so it makes it,
I don't know OSU wide receivers from like the 90s. Is there someone huge that we're maybe forgetting that was a superstar like 25 years ago?
Let's take the
Let's
chance.
think about that.
Number 1, Michael Thomas.
Okay. Fair
Like,
enough.
John, you think
Offensive
outside
player of the
the
year.
fucking box, John. You handsome devil. Next
Thanks,
name
man.
up, Chris Carter.
That's what I was talking about.
That's fine. Number 2.
Okay. I would have put Chris Carter in 1, but 2 is fun.
This is better than Chris Carter.
Well, we just had to do what we had
yeah,
to do.
no, we can't
You're
switch
gonna
the
regret
places
playing
now.
San Antonio at 6. And you're gonna
No,
regret
I'm not.
putting
Already,
Michael
San Antonio Holmes
Thomas
at 6
2.
is brilliant.
You'll
that
see.
was your best.
Yes,
pick
I
so
know.
far. Chris Olave.
Okay. He's better. He's better than Terry.
No, he's not.
He's
He
better
hasn't-
than Terry.
He hasn't had a productive season yet.
He's not.
He's
He's, not
better
giving
than
you
Terry.
that. He's not giving you that.
He's better than
he's
Terry.
not.
I'm not giving you that.
He's 3.
No.
No.
You're making this really risky because we're going to get a fucking stud at the last name's going to be a stud, and you're going to be stuck
You think
putting
so,
him at
John?
5.
Who's the blind ranking guy on this show? Me.
We're about to find out right now.
It's
He has,
me.
he has caught
We
me
about to
lacking.
find out.
John,
All right,
he has-
John. All right, you know, fine. Let's let the new guy dictate
John,
it.
he has
So
called me
number-
lacking last
Number
2 times.
5?
Are you?
You want to put him 5? No, John, you're the
He's
new
called me
guy.
lacking last
5.
time.
Final off at 5.
5.
Yes, sir.
All
So
right.
who at 5?
Chris
Chris
Olave.
Olave.
Chris Olave
Let's see.
at 5. Okay, stop clapping, bro. All right, here we go. So we got Michael Thomas at 1. Chris Carter at 2. That one's a little nuts. The
That
fans
is.
aren't gonna
I-
like
It is.
that.
I agree.
We're gonna skip over 3 and say you had Terry at 4. You had Chris Olave at 5. San Antonio at 6. And sitting pretty at number 3 is your brother in Christ,
Garrett Wilson. Hey.
Welcome. Game recognize the game.
Hell yeah. Respect the
You
hell
guys
out of
fucked
that.
up at 1 and 2, but other than that,
Yeah.
Michael Thomas has the record for most receptions in the
That
Chris-
is
season.
an offensive player of the
clears
year,
the
but
fuck
Chris
out of it.
Carter is
And an
a Hall of
OPOY.
Famer.
Cook.
Yeah.
brother, Chris Carter clears.
OD.
Yeah, Michael Thomas' career just started off so good,
Yeah.
but then it fell
It's one
off.
of the greatest starts to a career ever.
Now on to the basketball portion of this podcast, and we promise you guys next week it will be 100% full basketball pod. Because
try.
we'll,
We'll try.
we'll start with the team previews next week as well. We'll
it.
give ourselves a
Should
week
we
to do
do it
that.
like divisions to make it light so we keep football a part of episodes?
We could do divisions.
Because
I
only
like
5
that.
teams, and then we can still talk about
Yeah.
our football.
And also, we could teach the fans who don't know divisions.
We could look do like 2 divisions an
a week.
episode.
Oh,
2 division episodes a lot.
You think so? With
Two-
NBA?
2 divisions a week.
That's half the conference.
2 divisions a week is
2
facts.
divisions a week. We could do like so the Central Division, and we could do like the Atlantic Division Monday, and the next time we record.
Because we do
still
our
got
Sunday
pick'em.
breakdowns regardless. We do the other news that deserves topics.
Tuesday episode gets that plus
Facts.
a
Facts of
division breakdown.
division.
Then we got pick'ems on Wednesday. You don't want
That's
to
a full football.
clog that, yeah. And then Friday.
Same thing.
So this will be a preview into it. Most overrated and underrated team in each conference. We're naming one team per conference for the overrated and underrated category. So it's gonna be 4 total teams that we're naming. You can start off.
You may not be happy with my overrated. I'll start with my underrated. Correct.
Me?
Yes, you. I'll go underrated. Ironically enough, man, Toronto Raptors. I say underrated.
Wow.
For them being the team to
I would love to know
supersede
what's
the
going on
Bulls, supersede Atlanta as a potential 9-10 playing spot. Now, obviously, we saw how well Emmanuel quickly played towards the end of last season.
shit.
Very efficient. What's wrong with this? RJ Barrett balled the fuck out.
You fell in love with end of the year hoops.
I love those April
End
runs.
of the year heroics.
I love the April
You
runs.
fell in love with
but
it.
that March and April run from Emmanuel Quickly, where he was initiating, being the point guard. He was great with the ball in his hands, was very efficient as well. Scotty Barnes obviously getting his contract, playing to his worth. The concern becomes the forward position. I think we do see Scotty Barnes transition to a full-time power forward. But also probably Jakob Poeltl probably does run the center, and the bench has always been a question mark for the Raptors. But I say underrated because I look at the Bulls. That's a team that I'm looking at a bottom feeder next season. And with no disrespect to you, I just don't love what the Bulls are going or dealing with right now. Am I supposed to believe that Josh Giddey and Kobe White can be the backcourt that gets to a play-in spot? That's not what I'm feeling. What's going to happen with Zach LaVine? That's something that's uncertain as well. And then the Atlanta Hawks, a mess as it is as of right now. Is Zachary Richeche really going to really add real value in year one? Trae Young, no DeJounte Murray in that on the roster anymore. I have my reservations about both of those squads, but my underrated team would be the Toronto Raptors to be a play-in team, nothing more than that. Because you look at the rest of these teams, and to me, like Miami, I flirted with the idea of that, but again, you can't really call Miami underrated. They've been to multiple ECFs, they've been to a finals, multiple finals, but that's why I couldn't go Miami. We don't look at the Magic as underrated. Everybody has expectations for them. The Pacers, definitely not underrated. That's a team that I have as either it was this team or the Cleveland Cavaliers as my overrated team. Nuts. And I say the Cavaliers as my overrated team.
We're going to disagree on this segment.
They're overrated to me because, one, Evan Mobley is an unbelievable defender. He's one of the best defenders in basketball, no doubt about it. Yeah. But the hope with Evan Mobley has been every single year, we're waiting on his offensive leap. When he takes this offensive leap, now Evan Mobley really takes that next level of being an upper echelon player. Because of how special he is and how versatile he is on the defensive side of the ball. What he was able to do against Paolo Banchero in that first round matchup is something that I didn't give him enough credit for. He was the one that matched up against Paolo Banchero the most, held him to 35% from the field. He's an unbelievable defender, but the offensive side needs to catch up. And just because you hired a new head coach, he's supposed to come in, and now we're supposed to have Evan Mobley shooting threes at an efficient rate just because he was able to do it with Brook Lopez. To me, that's where I do have my reservations. It's still this offense. I believe in the defense. Donovan Mitchell is one of the best two guards in basketball. I'm still not the hugest fan of Darius Garland. If he's going to come into this season and still play timid, if he's going to be timid, especially going to the basket, because he did have the facial injury, and that definitely hampered his ability or his drive to go to the basket on a consistent basis. I'm not a huge fan of this offense. And because I have the questions about their offense, I don't know what my ceiling can be with them outside of what they've continued to be, whether that is a first, second round exit. And although they did have a great series against the Magic and they did get by in a 7-game series, I think the Magic improved. And if that were to be a round 2 matchup coming into this season, I'm leaning with the Magic.
You know, I'm going to take a leap of faith with my underrated team because it's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last year, look at this team. It
was a mosquito.
I was going to say. I thought the mic was fine. Thank you.
Really throat that thing.
I'll think about it that way. Yeah. So,
wow, that was a crazy response.
Last year, the Cavaliers dealt with a lot of injuries and ended up playing 48 games. Donovan Mitchell played 55. Darius Garland played 57. But we didn't see the Darius Garland of old. This offseason, they drafted Jalen Tyson in the middle of the first round. But I think what really intrigues me, for a guy that loves his sprint runs, Evan Mobley went from taking half of 3 points out of the game in the first 23 games. The second half of the season, took 2 of them and made 41%. Now, that's not a lot, but he did quadruple his volume. And I think he's always had the touch to be a shooter, but he's always been so passive and tentative that it's really just a mindset thing. And what I really like about this Cavalier team is you move on from JB Bickerstaff. I don't think they should have fired him. The defense will get worse, but the culture should improve. And I believe that Kenny Atkinson coming in is going to get more out of these guys offensively because he can instill more confidence. And one thing we saw in Brooklyn with a lot of those guys like Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie, he gave them the green light. And I look at the Cavaliers offensively, I think they'll get better. And defensively, I don't think they're going to drop off out to the top 5 because their baseline is so high. Even if you lose the coach, the personnel is still there, and that's important. So Why I think they're underrated, they're going to eclipse 50 wins this year. And they're not only going to win another first-round series again, but they're going to do so in a much more pretty fashion because that Magic series was not too good-looking. And then in the second round, Donovan's going to stay healthy, and they're going to make a push to the conference finals. Whether or not they get there depends on health.
Wasn't there only 2 teams in the East last year to win 50 games? It was the Knicks and it was the Celtics.
Celtics won
Cavs are
60.
like a game off.
And so were the
Bucks
Bucks. They were 49.
Yep.
Who's your overrated team, John?
My overrated team in the Eastern Conference, it's really pulling out of heartstrings because I don't think there's one standout group. You know, you mentioned a few of them. Like, I don't really think they're overrated. If I had to go with one, I would lean with Philadelphia. They won 47 games last year. I like what they did this offseason. Don't get me wrong. Paul George is going to come in and really be a nice upgrade. But I worry about everything else outside their big three. And I'm a little bit concerned, of course, just because of the depth is so shaky. If one injury happens to that big three, they remind me awfully a lot of the team I was so high on this last year that really did scar me, and that was the Phoenix Suns. I don't think they have quite enough playmaking around Embiid, and I also don't think that those 4th and 5th starter spots are going to be high-end enough to really support and elevate that awesome trio they've built, because don't get me wrong, that's a special pairing that they've developed.
The Raptors pick is interesting because I thought they had one of the worst off seasons this offseason.
How so?
I think they massively overpaid Emmanuel Quickly.
I thought they did that. Yeah.
What is Emmanuel Quickly?
What was it, 170?
They're
Nice
paying
little
him.
bag. Like 28 a mil? 28 a year?
They're paying him $32.5 million annually.
For
Beg
5
your
years.
pardon?
$32.5 million annually.
What is it? 100 is 170 for 5, correct?
It was yes, but
Yeah.
then I seen somewhere else in their source it was 5 years, $162.5 million deal. He's making $30 million a year. You look at the players that are below him. At the time, it was Jamal Murray, but he just got paid. Derek White's below him. DeJounte Murray's below him. Andrew Nembhard is at 19 mil, way below.
I'm fine with that.
D'Angelo Russell's at 18 mil. I think D'Angelo Russell and Emmanuel Quickly, they're in the same tier. They're in the same conversation. And Colin Sexton.
I'm not against that. It's just that Quickly's much younger.
Yeah, Colin Sexton is making 17 mil,
Colin's better,
and
I
I don't
think.
think he's. I think
Is
they're in
he?
the same tier
I
as
think he's
well.
better.
So with Quickly, I thought the Raptors are kind of like a directionless franchise because they committed a lot of money to Quickly. You have a lot of money tied into RJ Barrett. You just paid Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is a great player, obviously, but just like the supporting cast around Scotty Barnes, unless they get a high draft pick, it's gonna be a middling team that's always gonna be either barely making a plan or outside the plan, unless Emmanuel Quickly or RJ Barrett take a massive leap. And at this point in time, I don't know if I'm really putting my trust in that.
Quickly can. He showed that towards the end of last season.
Yeah. The Raptors are low-key extinct.
You thought you were going to bang that one. Shit sucked.
I mean,
Dehls is probably going to hear that shit and be like, I can't believe this dude's sitting in my chair after that shit.
no, I say that because of the fact that when you really do look at this team's outlook, there's like no blue chip player to build around. And
Scotty.
Yes, Scotty is a great example of that, where I think he's right on the border and he's still developing, so he can get there. But the reason why I'm putting it this way is they're stuck between 33 and 39 wins. And in this Eastern Conference, that's good for like the 7th to the 12th pick. They're never going to get a pairing alongside Sky to elevate him in a way that you need to for a guy who's not a budding superstar. I think he's a budding star, but he's a tier below some of those guys that we look at as potential top 10 players in the NBA. I think Sky's top 20. You need to pair him with another guy like that, and I think it's going to be
Top
a
20
lot more
potential, you're
challenging.
saying?
A guy who has a clear, foreseeable future of being a bona fide all-star.
I mean, he was an all-star last season.
Yeah, a bona fide all-star to pair alongside him is what kind of creates an outlook where it's like, okay, this team can make it to the playoffs and then take that as a stepping stone. And I don't see that second player on the horizon.
Since RJ's been home,
Yeah, 39% from three and
He's been
55%
hooping.
from the field. 23-game sample size.
It's not gonna last.
Damn.
maybe.
I've seen it all.
I get it. And that's fair. I get it.
Yeah.
He's been hooping
I think
since he's been home.
It's happened like 4 times. Like I think
But he
he's-
continued that in the Olympics too.
Yeah, he's always played well in the Olympics.
Finishers.
But he
in the
also
Olympics.
played well when he went to the Raptors. The whole time he was there,
It was 23, 27 games.
he balled.
I love the Cavaliers underrated pick because you talk about Mobley, but I think Darius Garland's going to have a major bounce back year. That's
We'll see.
that's the guy that I'm looking at
You've
the
been
most.
holding on to that one?
I'm trying to tell you, man.
And I think he's going to have a major bounce back year.
He's going to have a bounce back. You're a hater for Garland. I don't know why.
Because he has not been what you thought he would be.
What did I think he'd be?
Whatever he was in year 2 or year 3.
Yeah, 24,
year 2 and
23
3?
points.
Yes.
He's
eight
an all-star.
assists.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
And he had
He's
one bad year.
regressed.
Okay.
He
was great before he got his face broken.
He was.
He's a dog.
So I don't double dip on the Cavs. I think the underrated team is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
I think everybody writes them off as they can compete, but if they're fully healthy, they could compete.
Underrated
for a championship.
I really tried to not choose a heavy hitter.
The East is tough.
I'll say this: the Cavaliers. You made a decent argument, but for me, it's on the opposite side. So that's where you can make a good point for that. But other than that, like the top dogs are gonna be the top dogs. No one's talking about the Knicks underrated. No one's Milwaukee fair. Right, and you can go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to explain Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Milwaukee. I mean, when they're healthy, I think they're going to be a threat to the Boston Celtics because they just don't have an answer for Giannis. I think Dame finds his footing in the second year of Milwaukee. I love the Gary Trent signing. Chris Middleton just averaged 25 plus in the playoffs in the first round. I think he still has a lot left in the tank. And Brook Lopez is still good. I mean, in the playoffs, he averaged 16 and 7, and he played well for them. And
is he?
He's not the same player he once was, but he could still shoot. He can still protect the rim. He's never been a good rebounder.
He's super slow now.
He boxes
out. Yeah, he
like
is. But he's just matchup specific. And you're not going to play him in certain matchups, and that's fine. He could play maybe a couple, like 10 to 15 minutes.
Brook Lopez or Al Horford?
Brook Lopez.
Like at
disagree
their peak
wholeheartedly.
Or right now?
Right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, Brook.
Why?
I mean, expectations, situations.
Why?
Brook Lopez has a lot more responsibility as a full-time starter for 82 games.
I guess that's fair.
Expectations kind of plays hand-in-hand with that.
But who would you
Alex
rather on the court, Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis?
Died.
It depends. It's matchup dependent. It's matchup dependent.
No.
Where you been?
I need Bobby on the court. Bobby was just a 6-man of the year candidate.
Okay.
I know, but if I'm facing the Cavs, I want Brook. If I'm facing the Magic, I want Brook.
Brook Lopez is a defensive
If I'm
player
facing
of
the
the year
Celtics, that's a series that Bobby's going to play more. But Brook is not useless. He's very matchup dependent. I think he'll play well. An overrated team, like John said, it's very hard to find and single out an overrated team. So I'm just going to pick that team based off of their outlook for this year.
Pacers.
And I think that, I mean, that's a good response. Because the Pacers made a conference final, so now that's an expectation for them moving forward.
Brother. It's coming.
It's the Orlando Magic. I think the Orlando Magic, they had a great year last year.
You hate
They
fun,
made
man.
the playoffs, but what this team improved slightly, but are they getting past the first round?
They could.
Are they making a deep playoff run? I don't see
Because Paolo
it.
can get better.
He can.
Franz can get better.
They all can get better. I'm not saying they can't.
KCP's an amazing
But I'm
addition.
saying coming into this year, I don't know if they're going to reach the same level that they reached this past year. I think what they did last year, first round exit, is probably what they're going to do this year, first round exit.
They're
Can't
a game
they
away
be-
from the second round.
Can't they be a top 5 defense again?
Oh, we know
Yeah,
that.
they can.
Right?
Yes.
And you add KCP,
Well-
only adds defense to that. They needed shooting. You bring in KCP,
You still need the other
obviously
guys
he
to
helps with
improve
that.
shooting.
Tristan the Silva.
I don't think they're winning a playoff series this year.
Depends on what they
And
play.
the expectation is that
If they
win
play
it.
the Cavaliers in round 1, they can't beat them?
I think the Cavs will beat them again.
Can they beat them?
No.
No? Oh, my
With
God.
Kenny Atkinson now, no.
I would take the Cavaliers low-key.
You can
know,
take them, but there's not a puncher's chance for the Magic, who just took them 7 with Franz Wagner being inconsistent all series.
Well, he just couldn't shoot. But he can't shoot.
He can.
He can.
Yeah.
He can.
What?
We were talking about this last
This
show.
past season, he couldn't.
Yeah, but the 2 years before, he went from
He was average.
He went from 32% in college to 36% his first 2
No,
years.
he went from 32 to 35 to 36 to 28. That is average to below average.
Yeah, he also
Cannot
shoots
shoot.
85% at the foul line.
But
Well,
28
free throws
is horrendous,
free throws
John.
is completely different
It's
than
an
the
indicator
three-point
of
line.
touch.
No, a free throw is completely different. No,
Free throws
no.
indicate
It
touch.
is an indicator of
Not
touch.
mean,
really.
It's a problem.
Can you
Westbrook
explain
was
that
a
to me?
great free throw
Explain it to
shooter.
me like
He
I'm-
dropped off, though.
No, but
That was
yeah,
one
but
year.
no,
And that was because
his
they changed
prime
the
Westbrook
rule.
was a great free throw
But they
shooter.
changed that rule because Russ would walk back to half court and they no longer could do that between his 3 throws. And that routine
and that's what
offset.
stopped him from being a good free throw
The
shooter.
moment they made that rule, he dropped from 80-something% at the foul line,
see.
like 82%
You may
to
be- you may
right
be
around
right. You
70.
may be
I mean,
right. I'm not
LeBron's a
gonna
great
say
3-point shooter. He's not a good free throw shooter.
Well, he hasn't been a great three-point shooter.
Same
for
with
his
Jalen
career.
Brown. Same with
Who, LeBron?
Even Luka. Luka's not a great three.
I
Especially
feel
the
like
early
Miami,
years.
after that,
Half of
Westbrook
his
has
career,
been
he's
an
been an
80%
average
free throw
three-point
shooter for a while.
Well, the volume's different now, right?
Nah, it's relatively been the same.
Well, I will say, just to defend
his-
John's point, like when you look at college prospects,
Wait, Westbrook?
if
Yeah,
Oh yeah, but sorry, I want to
he
finish.
shot
this thought.
his best year.
He
shot
dropped
10 attempts.
He
of
dropped
84.
10% the year they made that rule change.
When was the rule change?
2017, 18.
that you couldn't lean.
continue.
when you look
They
at prospects, if
walk
they
half
can
court.
shoot the free throw well,
okay, I guess we're
it
basing it
is
off
usually an
overall.
indicator of touch. And I will say, if Franz Wagner shot 35 to 36% in his first 2 seasons, and this past year he had a down year, I mean, I think you can maybe expect him or have optimism to improve that again. I'm not saying he's a great shooter, but he won't be as bad as he was this past year.
It's gonna be hard to be worse.
That
was
if you believe that he's gonna be a better shooter, then the Magic naturally are better.
Of course. But at the same time, a lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference got better. I think the biggest, it's almost like a dilemma for the Magic. They have so much depth, and they've added so many players to the draft that there's too many guys to play. They have 12 guys who all could and probably should get rotation minutes. Some of that includes Anthony Black, who they drafted, Jet Howard, and they're going to need to consolidate some of that talent. On the other hand, Jalen Suggs last year did have an injury scare, and if he does get hurt because he's had some injury issues in the past, I don't think they're going to be a top 5 defense because of how vital he plays, the role that he plays is, I should say. So I think the Magic are a team that I'm high on long term, but I don't think this is the year where they break through to the conference finals. I still think there's a stepping stone. It's going to take 2 years to get to that point.
Riv, what's your underrated, overrated?
I'm just stuck on this Franz can shoot thing. It's like blowing my mind.
Solid shooter. For
we can
a win.
move past that.
Yeah, it's really confusing the fuck out of me.
What's confusing the fuck out of you?
How somebody
he was 28%. He's not a good
somebody
shooter.
who's never shown you he's like a good shooter that can shoot.
Well,
but
he was fatigued.
whatever.
Dame had a year drop to 30%
He was what?
from 3. Dame had a year where he dropped to 30%.
He was for what? He was fatigued.
He was fatigued.
Oh, what the
Because
fuck?
in the summer, he didn't have an off season. He
Brother,
spent his
I'm
off
not
season
trying to
playing
hear that from
in
a
FIBA.
22-year-old. He's fatigued.
He didn't have an off season. A conventional all season moving into the NBA calendar year. He spent his
You're
off
making
season
just excuses. His shot was
late
broke. He was
into-
shooting wide open jumpers. He
The
couldn't make
lowest Dame ever
Why?
shot for his career
He had a year
prior.
where he dropped to 30% when he was injured, and he was fatigued.
And Franz-
2020.
and Franz-
He
is a
played
nice
29
form.
games though.
Yeah, exactly.
That counts.
No.
Okay.
Franz is a nice form. He has a nice form.
But his shot was short, and he needed more legs, he needed more energy.
Yeah,
And
no.
But yet he can
abdominal
get to the
injury,
rim and
too.
still slash. But fatigue.
well, that's part of why he had less energy. He was spending so much driving to the cup.
Enough with the excuses.
spitting
They
facts.
sound ridiculous.
They sound
the brother
very
just
logical.
can't shoot, bro. Like just let it be.
28%. It's hard to vouch for someone who's shooting.
Dame
28.
dropped 30% in a 29.
Did you see? Look at Dame's
29
look at Dame's
games is
3-point
so
shots,
different.
and then look
He
at
was,
Franz,
also, he was
bro.
also dealing with an abdominal injury during that stretch.
Yes.
And also,
Yes.
Dame is taking insane threes.
Of course.
Franz was wide open.
Well,
Stop.
It's different because Franz is a wing. Franz is not he's not a sharpshooter. That's not his style of play. But it's an
I
element
didn't
of
ask you
his
to be
game.
a sharpshooter.
You got to shoot better than 28%.
Dame's a sharpshooter. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to shoot better than 28.
But Franz is going to be a solid shooter, like 35.
Like you get treated like Ben
35
Simmons
is
when you
not a
shoot
solid
28.
shooter, John.
No, you get treated like Ben Simmons when you're afraid to shoot beyond 10 feet and you don't look at the rim.
John, 35% is average.
Yeah. I
You
say
said solid.
solid and average.
Solid and average.
means the
I would
same
call
shit.
them synonyms.
Now that
I'll
is-
call them synonyms.
Now that is really,
Yeah, OD.
Really
yeah,
synonyms.
and the other word.
This shit is hilarious. My East underrated team.
I'm sorry.
I was looking at Cleveland as one of them because I don't think they get talked about enough. When you talk about the Knicks, the Bucks making it to the second round, even Orlando, I feel like Orlando has gotten more hype in this offseason than the Cavs, and I guess it's if you're not high on Garland coming back, which you're not, then it makes sense. If you're not high on Mobley's development, which you're not, it makes sense to have them lower.
Yeah.
I get that part. It's really just which side are you on thing. If you pick to be on the side of Garland getting back to form and Evan Mobley improving his game every year, then you think the Cavs are underrated. If you don't think that, then you think the Cavs are overrated. I don't think it's this big mystery. I think they're going to roll in with the same unit. I think JB Bickerstaff didn't deserve to get fired. I thought the defense was elite. But I understand bringing in Kenny Atkinson. I understand bringing in a guy who can develop players and get the best out of his big man. I understand all that. They still have the best player in maybe 70 to 80% of their matchups in the East. You know, if they go up against Indiana, if they go up against the Orlando Magic, they still have the best player in Donovan Mitchell. Showed last year he still can give you those all-time performances in the playoffs. It's really just about Garland and Evan Mobley. Can they improve their offensive game or get back to that offensive level to kind of propel with this offense? 'Cause I thought last year the reason why this offense looked so weak is because one of your players refused to go to the rim, and he was struggling from the three-point line. And then your other player, Evan Mobley, didn't make that necessary jump in his offensive game. So, and then you already have Jared Allen out there, who's not really an offensive player. So, and then Max Strus wasn't shooting the ball at an efficient clip from the three-point line. He wasn't. He was a good playmaker in his role. He was good at that, but the three-point shot wasn't falling. So if you can get all that going for you, I think the Cavs can still gonna be one of those top 5-6 teams in the East. I think they can win a playoff series. My overrated team in the East, though. You guys talked about there's a team you couldn't pick. There's a literal obvious pick.
It was obvious.
That this is the team that is literally the the most overrated team in the East. It's the Indiana Pacers,
easy.
like by far. I don't think the Bucks are overrated. I don't think the Knicks are overrated. I don't even think Philly's overrated. You know, I think they were in the first round series with the Knicks, who I thought were really good. And they were pretty much healthy outside of Julius Randle for most of that series. And then, of course, Mitch went down mid-series. But
Versus the Pacers, you're saying?
No, I'm talking about Philly. I
Apologize.
wouldn't call them.
I'm here.
Like I feel like they've gotten better because I don't think their role players that they lost last year really gave them too much. I mean, they brought back Kelly Oubre. They brought in Caleb Martin, who I think is a solid player. You know, they brought in Andre Drummond, who I think was a really good backup big last year. So you brought in guys, and then you brought in Paul George, who I think is fine as a number 3. So I thought they've gotten better from their last year roster. I think the team that didn't, they're kind of like Orlando in a sense. So if you think Orlando's overrated, it's kind of going to be the same point, which I understand that. They're kind of relying on the developments inside the building. Andrew Nembhard, Tyrese Halliburton, Aaron Nesmith, you know, Jarris Walker. I saw him working out with Pascal. That was dope. You know, Pascal, he's kind of what he is, which is dope to see. Miles Turner, he's kind of what they're kind of bringing in the same nucleus, the same core, that same type of offense. It's just about, can they improve defensively? And I know they improve with Pascal, but can you do it for a full season's length? Yeah. Can you, work on that half-court offense with Halliburton? Can he figure that out? And I think Indiana, they made the ECF, but a lot had to go right for them to make the ECF, with all due respect. Like, a bunch of teams in front of them had to get hurt. And I think in the East like this, where they have Philly, I would take Philly. Bucks, I would take the Bucks if they're healthy. New York, same thing. Boston, same thing. They're kind of in that Orlando, Cleveland tier for me. And I think I would take Cavs over them. I think Orlando and them is a toss-up. It's really just about their defense versus their offense. Who would you rather take? But I think just because unfortunate, all trolling aside, there is a hard moment to pick which team would be overrated in the East. But based off expectations from last year, I'm pretty sure Indiana's walking in thinking they could do it again.
Right.
I don't think so because I don't think everybody would get hurt again.
I disagree, and there's 3 reasons why.
Nice that you have 3.
Because
disagree with what?
The Pacers are not overrated. I think they're properly rated. Number one, they're getting no hype. Like, despite making the conference finals,
You think?
who's hyping up the Indiana Pacers?
Missoula just came out and said that series should have won 7.
I've seen some hype on my Twitter. Just a little bit.
They
Maybe
played
a
them
little
great.
They did.
They played them very
awesome.
well. And they
I thought
gave
that the
Celtics
Cavs
their
played
best
them really
matchup.
well, though.
I agree.
They did.
But they're not getting hype. That's the first thing. The second thing is when they acquired Siakam, they only had him for the second half of the season, and they're 23-18 because Tyrese wasn't healthy, and they're bringing in a brand new valve to their offense. Sure. Now you have Siakam for a full season, and if him and Halliburton are healthy together, that's just a higher floor for this team. And then the third thing is you talked about the defense. It's not good. It's bad. Jarris Walker is going to help a lot with that. And if he's getting more playing time, that's someone who can be a really high-value 6 starter, if you will. Playing
and Benedict is coming back.
Benedict Matherin's coming back, and Andrew Nembhard.
Is that going to help with the defense?
No, but
if he buys in.
But that's going to be my 4th reason.
He got the tools
that's
to do
gonna be
it.
my 4th reason.
Oh, you had a 4th reason.
Yes. Playing hand in hand, Jarris Walker getting more playing time, which he should have played more last year. Andrew Nembhard last year, ascending more and more in the playoffs, really stood out. He's only going to get better as well.
That's my reservation.
He's an awesome.
I need to see how it looks for a full season
Second
personally.
guard, I think he's a
John, what
high
do you
end
have as
starter.
their floor?
Like, they just won 47 games. I think that's their floor.
So the floor is a first-round exit.
Yeah.
You just said higher floor. What's higher
It's
than
the
a first
same
round
They're
exit?
not
right
going to
now.
fall. Like, they're not going to be a bottom. They're going to be
A top 6 team.
worst case scenario, the 5th seed. But here's the other thing.
Worst case, the 5th?
I mean, unless like Halliburton and Siakam both aren't healthy. Now here's the other thing. They have so much depth, and they're in a similar boat to Orlando where they can consolidate that and upgrade in their starting lineup if the right move does become available. Because I do think they have too much depth. You re-sign Obi Toppin with him not really having a clear role because then there's no PT for Jarris Walker. So I think it's inevitable they make a move. Maybe they do it at the deadline. But for the Pacers to add in as much young talent as they have and a star like Siakam who can fit in quite well, I think they're properly rated. And like I said, like Indiana's a small market. I don't think they're getting any hype at all. And they still played very well and looked impressive despite being extremely lucky this last postseason.
I do think there's more room for growth for the Pacers than the Magic.
I agree.
Because they have Siakam and Tyrese. And if Tyrese is healthy for a full year and he's more so of that version of the player in the beginning of the season, and Siakam has a full offseason to get ingrained with this team and with the flow of how they play, the depth is pretty similar. Like the Pacers have a better bench than the Magic, but the Magic have a great bench as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Pacers, it all depends on what version of Tyrese are we getting. If we're getting that version of Tyrese.
If we're getting November Tyrese, then we eat our words.
I think we're gonna get November Tyrese in November, and then second half Tyrese in the second half.
Oh,
Honestly.
okay. So then, where are we hyping up Indiana? Why are we hyping up Indiana then, Johnny?
Well, I do think he'll.
Do you know what second half Tyrese?
That's
like?
why that's not good.
Let
Let me clarify my
Yeah,
comment.
please do.
He's not going to play as well as he did in the fall, but he was injured and he was playing
Did
when
like
not
22 and
100%.
11?
He's not going to shoot like 30% when he comes back off an injury.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. But what I'm saying is that he's probably going to play his best basketball in November, and then you're going to see that slowly but surely start to decline as the year goes on.
Is that good though?
All I want to see from Tyrese
definitely
is keep the efficiency from three, because this year really it showed the most where once he got hurt, he was just inefficient from three. And that's such a big part of his game, because off those pick and rolls, pulling up from three, that's what makes him dangerous.
Yeah.
If he can keep that 40% mark throughout the season, even if he averages 22 and 11, he doesn't have to be like 26 and 12. Even if he averages 22 and 11, but that efficiency stays the same, and Siakam now gets more touches, I think that's the version that the Pacers should want. But they do have a lot of depth. Like, you have Tyrese, Siakam, Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard. Then you have Aaron Nesmith. Off the bench, you have T.J. McConnell. You have Obi Toppin. Jarris Walker didn't even play last year. You have Benedict Mathurin coming back. I'm forgetting Isaiah Jackson is really good. They have a lot. They're like 10 to 12
Ben
players
Shepherd.
deep on their bench.
You guys don't think
Ben Shepherd too. I forgot about him.
you guys don't think
Something's
Orlando's offense is easier to fix than Indiana's defense?
No, I think Orlando's offense is tougher to fix.
Really?
I don't know. Indiana doesn't
disagree.
really have an anchor on defense.
I know, but Indiana has on offense somebody who's gonna get elite shot quality.
Yeah.
Where Orlando doesn't have that offensively. They're more so
Paolo
a
can
tough
get elite
shot
shot
making
quality.
Paolo
team.
can get
Definitely.
better.
He's
No, he
21
can.
years old.
I'm not saying he can't, but he's not gonna create elite shot quality for his teammates like Tyrese is going to.
Of course,
That's what I'm
It's-
saying.
that's not his job.
No, it's not. But they also don't have a true point guard. Like
Fair.
Jalen
Do
they
Suggs
need one?
is not a true point guard. I think that would make them better.
But
Oh,
so
for sure.
Anthony Black, that's not him.
I
It
gotta
is him, but he has to get there.
Yeah, I gotta see what he can do. He didn't play
I think
much.
he's like too limited in his skill set to be that eventually. But
If he
I only
can't
ask
shoot,
because I know
I can't, but
Yeah.
if you believe in Jarris Walker, you can believe in Anthony Black.
100% agree.
that's a question for John. I gotta see Jarris
No,
Walker.
because he said Jarris Walker, like Anthony Black is limited in skill set, but so is Jarris Walker.
positionally for a guard that's not a high volume shooter or a good shooter at that's
Jarris
more
Walker
limited.
isn't really a big though. He's kind
He's
of
like
a tweener.
he's a 3-4.
Yeah, and
but
I think-
actually
and I
that's not
think
true.
it-
It's like a 4-5.
Not really.
He's smaller.
How tall
He's
is he?
like 6'7".
6'8", 6'9"?
He's thinner. He's
just
thinner.
he's stocky.
He looks
230,
thinner on the court, and
235.
he was stocky in college, but
Yeah.
you see him in the NBA,
has
he
to be.
doesn't stand
One
out.
thing I'll say to Jarris Walker, though, one thing I loved about his tape was that he was a really good passer, really good
Yeah, in
connector.
short rolls.
That's something that he can add to
Black
this.
was when he did play was a really good defender.
Oh no, for sure. Oh,
no, when
defender
Anthony
for
Black
sure.
played in the lineup, they had a winning record.
Yeah,
They
no,
were
he
amazing.
plays his role, bro. I just
Yeah.
if you believe in Jarris, I feel like you can believe in the same in Anthony Black.
I do believe in Anthony
Yeah,
Black.
no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying
Yeah.
like just in general.
general,
I think
mhm.
Orlando, for them to get better offensively, they would just need multiple improvements. Which but I don't know. But Indiana's defense, I don't know if it can. Like I think I think Orlando can get to a point where they're like a top 5 defense, and they're like a top 12, 13 offense. Not this year. I'm just saying in general, like a top 12, 13 offense. If we believe in Boncaro and Franz's improvement. With Indiana, I don't know if they can ever get to like a top 10, 15 defense consistently for a year.
I think they get to average. If you were on a lineup with Tyrese at point guard, not a good defender at all. But then you
I agree
have
with this.
Aaron Nesmith at the 2. Ben Shepherd's coming off the bench, but him at the 3 in that lineup. Jarris Walker at the 4. Miles Turner's
Ben
phone.
Shepherd started?
No, I'm saying he's going to come off the bench.
Oh,
but
okay.
in a lineup, maybe closing the game, Ben Shepherd at
Nemhard's a great
3.
defender too, though.
Nemhard? Yeah. you
Can we
put
trust
there as well.
Nemhard to really just be this breakout player this season?
No, I don't think he
No.
will be. I mean, he
All
averaged
right.
9
And
points
Nemhard's
last
not
year.
guarding these premier players.
And
but
he
I
wasn't
think
a great shooter,
He
and then the
does try.
playoffs
They do
happened.
he does
be
try.
putting-
Listen,
they
I
do
think
put
in
him
the
on.
playoffs, he was getting fried on that.
I think Nemhard, I think the hype for him
It's
was a little bit over the
insane.
top,
Why
especially
is it
after
over
the
the top?
Celtics series, because I don't think he's that player consistently.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think Nemhard is more so of like a 13, 14 point per guy,
pretty damn
point
good.
per game, points per game guy, and he can have maybe those games occasionally, but when Tyrese didn't play last year and Nemhard had to start and he had to run the show, even though McConnell did start, I mean, Nemhard's numbers didn't go up. It wasn't like a Jalen Brunson and Luka situation where when Luka sat out, Jalen Brunson's numbers ballooned up. Like that was a clear breakout dude to me when I seen him, and then the playoffs just showed us that even more. But with Nembhard, I think it was just a couple great games, but I can't expect that. Like,
Right.
I'm not expecting him to jump to 16 or 18 tonight. I think he's a 12 point per game guy.
Just too
I
many
think
guys,
16.
too.
I
Yeah.
think 16 is possible, but you're right. There's so many double-digit scores in that team. Back to that original thought. The Pacers' defense can definitely get to average.
Boston.
Oh, you're gonna go through the entire
Yeah.
Eastern Conference?
I'm going to do in general. Boston.
When they
thinking
got
differently.
Siakam, they went from one of the worst defenses
Yeah.
to around like 17, 18.
So
they
I'm
have a
actually-
lot of-
Boston.
I want to break this down first, though, so we shift into this perspective, and then we can go with that. Defensively, they can have 3 good defenders on the floor, 2 of which can guard on the ball. You have Jarris Walker and Pascal. I don't know if they can play together, but one will be on the floor at all times. Along with that, you have a very good guard defender in Aaron Nesmith. And
Miles
then
is
you
a
have-
decent shot blocker.
Then you have either Ben Shepherd or
Yeah, talking to
you have Ben Shepherd or Aaron Nesmith. Not Aaron Nesmith. There's so many of these guys. I'm forgetting their names. The Canadian guard, Andrew Nembhard. So that's 3 good defenders on the floor. Miles Turner is the 4th best defender. He's fallen off, definitely, but
still a good run protector.
he's a good shot
He's
blocker.
yes, he
Good shot
blocks
blocker.
shots.
I think that defense can be 15th.
So what are you about to ask right now?
I'm just gonna ask some teams that he thinks Indiana's defense would be better. I don't know about the Ben Shepherd thing. I don't know. I don't know if he's a really good defender. He's pretty small.
Yeah.
Then that one's a stretch. Jarris Walker, wait and see. Nesmith
Jarris Walker
showed,
and Nesmith are not stretches.
well, Jarris Walker, you didn't see much, so that is a stretch. You're gambling.
Pretty confident in that.
But not Nesmith, you're correct.
Yeah.
Nesmith was a really good defender for them last year. Nembhard is a good attempt defender. He got fried a lot last
Oh,
year.
on stars, he cannot guard them.
Well, I
at
mean,
all.
somebody has to do it. And
Sounds like
Nesmith was
Reed.
good
Nesmith.
at it, but he's not locking anybody down or not giving
Yeah.
him. I saw a lot of stars give him work too. But Boston,
Nope.
New York,
Nope.
Philly,
Nope.
Cleveland,
Nope.
Milwaukee.
Nope.
No.
No.
TBD.
Was that 6?
Yeah, I mean they're not
5 or
gonna have a
6.
better defense than almost all these
Miami,
teams.
Bucks, no
No.
way.
No.
Bucks, just no.
If they played at a potential, absolutely not.
Miami,
No.
No.
Orlando.
No.
I was like, okay.
That's 8 teams. I
West,
think.
Clippers,
Maybe.
TBD.
TBD.
Lakers,
No.
No.
Phoenix,
No.
TBD.
TBD.
Kings.
TBD.
I think the
I'm gonna
Kings
say-
defense is gonna be good this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the Kings defense.
Dallas.
Wait.
Keon
Like,
Ellis. He's
like
like
the Kings defense with DeMar,
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Tomas, and De'Aaron.
I don't know.
starting
De'Aaron
together?
Fox is a really good defender.
Yeah,
He
but
tries.
he's on the ball. Someone's got to defend on the ball. And when Keon Ellis is not in the game, that's oftentimes have to be De'Aaron. With the load that he has offensively, I think that's a lot.
Fox
to
can
ask.
guard though on the ball. He was
He's
led.
above
He was
Saul.
near the top leaders in deflections last
Yeah.
year.
That's true.
Yeah,
I don't know, but Domas
and he's like
De-
6'4",
DeMar-
6'5".
coin
De'Aaron
flip.
Fox.
6'4".
Go ahead.
Dallas,
No,
I'm gonna take Dallas.
Houston,
no.
No. Oh no. No.
Memphis.
No.
Brother,
No.
we passed
Memphis.
15.
All
We're
by the way.
at 13 or 14. Yeah.
No, we got like 4 maybe.
We had 8 in the
Pelicans.
East. Yeah. Fair.
Pels. Easy.
San Antonio.
No.
Should be San Antonio
Yeah,
this
should be
year.
San Antonio. Yeah.
It depends.
It does. It does. It does. I'm not
Denver.
gonna disagree.
I didn't even name the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Denver. TBD.
Minnesota, no.
No.
OKC,
No.
no. And that's really
It's
it.
like
Orlando.
17. You need like 15.
17 with like 4 maybe.
With 4
But can I tell you that's where I see them in that 17, 18
Can they
range.
escape the bottom 10? I think.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's just their defense is not going to be all world. It's not. You know, they're an offensive team, first in offensive rating or second offensive rating.
Brother,
last
I think
year
you said no
behind
on
the
like
Celtics.
20 of them.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's what they're
I
going
said
to
they're
be.
like 16.
They're going to be a top 3 offense with the 20th ranked defense unless something major happens. Now, we only gave our East team, but going on to the West,
This was also pretty easy for me as well. Underrated, Phoenix Suns. I think that they are here. I think that with the addition of Tyus Jones, Devin Booker now gets to go slide back to his normal 2 spot. If Bradley Beal is a team player, he goes and is the 6th man off the bench, probably will lock 6th man of the year. But I can't imagine a player making over 50 M's and coming off the bench. That's kind of something that I know he's going to struggle with, and I'm sure that the Suns are going to struggle with. But of course, Kevin Durant, when you have a true point guard in Tyus Jones, it will make the game a lot more easy for a Devin Booker and a Kevin Durant. Now they don't have to worry about playmaking. Mostly, of course, Devin Booker, who was playing out of position all season. You go and of course, the main thing that I look at, and you do need that point of attack defender. Ryan Dunn's kind of being burst into that situation where he kind of has to be that. He is a rookie. Not sure the amount of minutes that he will play, but I do believe that he will have crucial minutes at some point of this season because they simply just have that necessity in that. But I look at the Suns and what they can do offensively, and I just simply don't think that they can be as bad as they were in the fourth quarter. And I think that that's where Tyus Jones really can help them out, really get them to their spots down the stretch of games and to make offense a little bit more simple so they can get easier baskets. And of course, Kevin Durant, you trust him in the clutch time situations. And Devin Booker, I know that he wasn't himself in the playoffs, didn't have a great series versus Minnesota. I still trust him in his abilities. Yeah. We saw what he could do the year before that versus the Nuggets, the series before that. When he played against, the Clippers, when he absolutely went berserk. And, of course, his finals run.
Well, I had a question about that, actually. Who'd you...
Talk closer to the mic.
Sorry. This is more for you, per se.
Even closer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Usually it works, though.
I know, but it sounds better if it's, like, closer.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I can help you out. Thanks, bro. Ooh.
Oh, my... I knew that was coming.
You had what was your ranking last year with two guards last year?
D-Book and Donovan.
And what about the year before?
D-Book and Donovan. Oh, sorry.
D-Book, Donovan, and
You definitely
facts.
Jalen.
So definitely.
Why was Donovan Mitchell the only one that got knocked because he played like shit in the playoffs and not Devin Booker?
Because I saw it 2 years in a row. I saw 2 years in a row of Donovan Mitchell getting outplayed by Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
So if he plays like shit again,
100%.
D-Book did have 49 in Game 7. Like, that didn't make up.
Game 6.
Game 6.
Game 6.
They didn't go.
You're
7.
saying
Wait, no, it's game 4.
No, game 4 this year. You're saying.
I'm thinking of the Clipper series.
The Suns.
Oh no, Clipper series.
I don't care about the Clipper
Yeah,
series.
fuck that.
Because it was first round.
In Game 4
No, because
versus the Wolves,
nobody
had
played.
49. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They definitely didn't bring that Wolves series.
I'm fine
to
with that.
6.
Listen, I definitely...
Because Donovan Mitchell balling against the Magic was definitely moving.
I was just asking.
Yeah.
I
And the
wanted to ask you that,
Celtics.
but I kept forgetting.
But I will say, I keep some energy.
Okay.
If Booker comes out again and lays another egg, I'm with you.
Okay.
But he went amazing finals run.
He did.
Falls short. They don't win the championship.
Everybody getting hurt doesn't sway your mind.
In which one?
The first one when he went to the finals.
But he played well.
I'm going to be honest,
You got
man.
regardless of the situation, if you play well,
Because he might not get there.
agreed, but you still have to play well.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. That Suns team was just so damn great. Like,
They were
I
down
think,
2-1 to the Lakers.
I mean, I know, but...
And then AD went down.
They
feel
would have
like-
lost that series guaranteed.
I think the Suns...
But that was a good Lakers team.
Those Suns teams have become heavily
We were the number one
underrated.
defense that year. I'm sorry, Joel.
Yeah, those Suns teams have become heavily underrated because Luka Doncic gamed them, and he just had an all-time
It wasn't
series.
just that.
I know, but this is the thing. It's like
Donovan got outscored by Cam Johnson that game too, and I'm being fair. That game 7 where Luka Doncic and then went absolutely berserk on them. Cam Johnson, had 11 points and Booker had 10.
Yeah, the thing with the Suns is I feel like as history goes on, we kind of forget how great that team was just all around. I mean, they were a 60-win team 2 seasons in a row. They weren't able to get over the hump. I feel like, in hindsight, you probably make those moves for Kevin Durant, but there's also another scenario where you try to keep that core together and you try to see if a new coach can rejuvenate them because Monty Williams wasn't anymore. The thing with that is, the Nuggets that year when they lost to the Suns, they didn't have Jamal Murray, but the Suns swept them. I mean, it was 4-0, clean sweep. Like, yes, even if Jamal Murray played in that series, I think maybe it goes to 6, at most, but the Suns were just clearly better. They were just better schematically against them, and they just had an answer, or they just exploited, I should say, Jokic's defense a lot that series. They just didn't have any point of attack defenders, and that's why KCP was so huge when they got him, because he fixed a lot of those problems. With Devin Booker, I think that he gets heavily underrated because we don't value those playoff runs that he went on enough. Like, those were exceptional playoff runs. Like, the first time he went to the playoffs, he made the NBA Finals. And then last year, not this past year when they got swept by the Wolves, but the year before, I mean, everybody was injured for Phoenix against Denver. Chris Paul didn't play. DeAndre Ayton later in the series, he was done, and Jock Landale stepped in. And even when Ayton played, he was playing hurt, and he played with no energy at all. And Devin Booker was putting up historic performances.
Until he got hurt himself.
Yeah, I do think this past year was weird for the Suns because Devin Booker was trying to play point guard. They had him playing that role. You have a defensive first head coach that isn't helping you in terms of offensive philosophy. And now Mike Budenholzer. Yeah, and now Mike Budenholzer comes in, and yes, he has his mishaps and stuff. He doesn't adjust and all that. But as an offensive coach, getting Tyus Jones and getting point guards on his team, I think we're going to see Devin Booker go back to the player that we saw before this year. And he's going to have a much easier time not having all that responsibility.
Respect the book.
So I love the Suns' underrated pick. For me, the reason why I can't fully get on board with them, because I do think they're one piece away from being a legit title threat.
Is it a big?
It's a big.
Fair.
What do they need?
It's a big.
I know.
If-
I know.
I
How
mean,
much do they need?
right now? They got Nurkic.
Do you know who
got
they
Nurkic.
need? No lie.
Who?
DeAndre Ayton.
They need Claxton.
That's over the
They really
top.
could just get Miles Turner to be fine.
They need DeAndre
They
Ayton.
just need good big men play. That's all they
an
need.
anchor down low.
Yes.
Miles Turner's not that.
They still need a POA defender.
They still need a higher end point guard.
They shouldn't have traded DeAndre Ayton.
They should have. Grayson Allen's a better player right now. Hot take.
No, he's not a better player.
Well, it's more of a, all right. So DeAndre Ayton, yes, he averaged more points, but who is more useful? Grayson Allen.
I just think the reason why those Suns teams get forgotten about because they're one of the most disappointing
They choke.
60-win teams
Yeah, they choke.
in recent memory. Like
They blew it to Milwaukee.
even Atlanta, the team that won 61 with Jeff Teague, DeMarie, they went to an ECF. Like that team was up.
Suns went to the finals.
They did go to
No,
the finals.
I'm talking about the year after.
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the year after. And even that finals run, we love to bring that up, but we slack other runs that got injured. They weren't going to beat the Lakers. They weren't going to play the Clippers. So bringing up the Denver series is cool and all, but that was after the Lakers series in which, if you remember the series, the Lakers were controlling the series until AD could not play anymore.
and that was when LeBron James had just came back from that ankle injury too.
Facts.
Chris Paul got hurt in that series too early.
For sure.
And he
But
couldn't dribble the ball.
You had LeBron two games removed from coming back from injury, and you lose arguably the best player in that series.
Oh, I know that, but Chris Paul was so important to them,
yeah.
and he got hurt.
He was.
Like,
but then the next series, he was nuclear against the Nuggets.
no, he was different.
That's why it's kind of
Then
hard
you walk
for me.
into a series and Kawhi is not playing a
That
single game.
sucked.
It's just, I don't know.
But with
like,
Kawhi, they were down 0-2 against the Jazz.
they could have been down 0-2 and still won 2 straight. They're just that type of team.
I mean, for me, the way I view it is that, yes, maybe the Lakers beat them, but I think that series was a 7-game series. Like, I think that shit was going down to the wire.
I can't.
If they were both
can't do
healthy-
ifs and buts there, but I watched those 2 games back to back. Lakers just absolutely dominate.
I've seen the Lakers, if LeBron and AD play in a series and they're healthy, how many teams
9 out of
actually
10
beat
times
them?
they come out. OD.
That leads me to my most underrated team in the Western
8 out of 10
Conference.
because the Nuggets.
The Lakers are the most underrated team in the West. This year,
Are
they
you going to say that?
They're not underrated to me.
Oh, okay.
this year
I'm never
they,
underrated.
Thank
them.
God you don't say it.
they have a chance to be an elite offense this year if Dalton Knecht comes in and he is a high-end rookie. Someone that, this is why,
You are a glazer,
Respect
dog.
Dalton Connect. He's going to shoot
Elite
40 from
offense
3.
'cause of a rookie?
Damn right, because he's going to stroke that
let
baby.
Let me explain. That's one of the main reasons. I think Knecht can come in and have a very similar impact to a guy like Bogdanovich. But when I look at the Lakers last year, they won 47 games in spite of Darvin Ham.
You know how good Bogdan
cook.
Bogdanovich is?
one of the best
Bogdanovich
six-
and the
yeah,
Hawks,
he's a-
six
yeah.
man of the year candidate, 14
You
points
think
per
Darvin
game.
can come in and just boom? I'm that.
No, not now, Bogdan Bogdanovich, but Bogdan Bogdanovich on the Kings when he came in as a rookie
okay,
at
I'm sorry.
25, averaged 10
Get off my boy. Come
He
on.
didn't clarify.
Can you let him
average-
cook?
He didn't clarify.
averaged 10 points a game as an efficient three-point
He didn't
shooter.
clarify. That's all I'm
And the reason why I think that matters so much is that last year, they could have won a playoff series if they didn't strike the Nuggets in the first round. If they played the Thunder, that could have been a 7-game series.
We couldn't have beat the Nuggets with a different head coach.
No.
But here's the thing.
We had double-digit leads in 3 games.
JJ Redick's going to come in.
Bro, we had double-digit leads in 3 games.
You can't tell me you have LeBron out there and Darvin Ham was the reason why you choked up all them games,
Well,
bro.
Yes!
JJ Redick's
He's
gonna-
not the only reason.
JJ Redick's going to come in and
not.
do a much better job matching their lineups, and I think that's going to help them most in the non-Anthony Davis minutes. When they have a front court of LeBron at small ball 5 and Jared Vanderbilt, who will be healthy to start the year, with their same exact backcourt of Reeves, D'Lo, and then somebody at that 3 spot, it's
Rui.
probably not going to... It could be Rui. It could be Connect. It's not going to be Cam Reddish this year,
Thank
who
God.
was an active liability offensively.
20 games.
He sucked.
Off the bench,
Sorry.
we're not going to see Jackson Hayes playing 70 games in
Vanderbilt
12,
isn't
13
better.
minutes.
I don't mind Jackson Hayes, believe it or not.
He was not good.
Jared Vanderbilt sucks.
Off the bench, not
Jared
terrible.
Vanderbilt fulfills a very important role in the regular season.
He's better than Cam Reddish, bro.
And
No, I
he's
wasn't
easily-
comparing him.
You said
easily.
Jared Vanderbilt
Cam Reddish-
sucks?
No, Cam Reddish fucking sucks.
I'm sorry.
Cam Reddish
I heard
sucks.
you incorrect. I heard you incorrect.
No. I wasn't
Cam Reddish
comparing them.
sucks.
I wasn't comparing both of them.
You're just saying Jared Vanderbilt sucks?
He's the one
Yes.
replacing Cam.
On defense, he definitely does not suck.
If he sucks, then what is Cam Reddish? He's fucking a pile of dog
What does
shit
that have to do with anything?
in the
Wait,
NBA.
why does Jared Vanderbilt
Because you
suck?
said Jared Vanderbilt sucks, but I'm highlighting how he's a clear upgrade over Cam Reddish because offensively,
Yeah,
he's still
no,
going to
he
do
is.
something.
I wasn't. First of all, John, you got excited. I wasn't comparing them at all.
But
what
they're
I'm
gonna
saying
be
is Jared Vanderbilt. You can't
zero.
even play a playoff series.
No.
You literally can't.
No.
We saw it against the Grizzlies. He played.
He can play 10, 15 minutes. He just can't close.
How many minutes he played legitimately?
In
Against the
regular-
Grizzlies, he played a lot. Against the Warriors,
in
I
the
don't think he
regular
played that
season,
much.
though, if he can play 20, 22 to 25 minutes.
Jared is
So,
hard
John,
to
you're under
watch.
the assumption that JJ Redick's going to be a great coach.
No, I think he's going to be a better coach than Darvin. I'm not going to say he's going to be a great.
side.
Well, hold on. He has not coached a single game in the NBA yet. His only coaching.
Neither did Steve Kerr.
Yes, but Steve Kerr did have
he walked
management
in with-
experience.
And
And he
JJ
also
has
wrote-
podcasting experience. You probably got your basketball knowledge and takes from JJ Redick on his podcast.
Some of my knowledge, yes, but
God, why'd you have to go crazy like that?
I was just saying, because I did it too.
we all did. A lot of people did. I don't think it's fair to call J.J. Redick an elite coach before he even coached the
wouldn't say
game.
that. I
know, but I'm saying, do you
That's
think he
an
will be great?
unrealistic
Is he going to be a
standard.
great coach this year?
He
That's the
can be.
question.
There's a lot of context that goes in this.
Jared played
He's going to
16
be.
minutes
He's going to be a huge upgrade off
Wait,
Darvin Ham.
in the Grizzlies series?
in the playoffs, just in total. In the regular season, he played 20 minutes.
Wait, this year?
Yes.
No, I know. No, he barely played this year.
It's fucking awful.
So Darvin Ham was
Offensively, I should say.
Darvin
he's
Ham
not
was a
good.
bottom 5 coach.
But what about the year we went to the WCF?
Sorry, we have to stop doing that.
We do have to stop doing that.
Sorry, John.
Darvin Ham was a bottom 3 to 5 coach. I'm done. Whatever y'all can go. Whatever y'all can go. I'm done.
Listen, Darvin Ham fucking stinks. It's not rocket
What if
science.
JJ
But I
stinks,
will
too?
say this. What I want to see from
It's
JJ
going to be better.
is have Austin Reeves be more on ball.
Question. What if JJ Redick, and this is a possibility,
Come on,
what
don't
if he's
do
Steve
this.
Nash as a coach?
No.
Seriously.
No. Simply
When
too
Steve
smart.
Nash came in, what did we think?
Thought it was going to be really
Offensive mind, best point guard, best playmaking point guards ever. He should be good at his fucking job. And he was awful. What if JJ is that? And I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying we're looking at his we can believe he can succeed, but there's another side of this where he can be really garbage.
You know what then? What I'd rather wait for the season to start. I don't want to live in that possibility that he could
Because
be
Darvin Ham was terrible. I agree.
horrible.
I agree, and I think JJ, even me guessing, I think he'll be better than Darvin Ham. What is better than Darvin Ham is like a tick above. That's still ass.
Honestly, that's all we need.
What I'm looking at J.J. Redick as is a middle of the pack coach who's very competent and creative. Middle of the pack coach. Like somewhere in the
He could
JB
be like
Bickerstaff
15,
tier.
16.
JB
like,
Bickerstaff
off
is
rip?
really good.
Yeah, he's like the 15th best coach maybe.
You think
in
he
the
walks in and he's JB Bickerstaff?
No, but he's not tier coaches, I think. When he steps in.
Wow.
If he walks in as Kenny
Then
Atkinson,
again,
are we up?
coaches take time to develop. It took
is that not like a
Bickerstaff some time.
high praise?
I'm asking.
Walking
think-
in JB Bickerstaff?
I'm
about
very
Kenny
hard on
Atkinson?
JJ. Let's live in a reality where what if JJ is a great coach? Are the Lakers contenders?
We're top 6 lock, and then we are contenders because you have LeBron James and AD.
I would say yeah.
If you get a top 4 seed, yeah, you can call yourself a contender because you're going to have a way easier time in the playoffs.
My one thing, and
Seeding
I've
isn't
been,
important for
I've been
teams like
saying
that.
this.
Seeding is very important for the Lakers.
I've been saying
They
this for
struck
years
the
now.
Nuggets.
It's
the
just
first round.
it's just not matching up with Denver.
Yeah,
That
but what
too.
if they get the 4-5 matchup? Now you really like
Here,
the
we
Lakers
can
in the
match up
playoffs.
with Denver if we actively try and get another big man. It can't just be AD, and that's what I wanted to say. I've been saying this for years. We need depth at the big position. It can't be Christian Wood, and it can't be Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes off the bench isn't the worst option. He's not great. And
not good.
when he's your only option after Anthony Davis, that's when shit gets muddy. We need an upgrade at the center position. We didn't do anything to try and address that this offseason. We're just riding it back with AD being our starting 5, Christian Wood, and then Jackson Hayes. That's where shit gets muddy, and that's the concern.
I don't think JJ is going to play Jackson Hayes because they can use LeBron as a small ball 5 and they can also use Vando as a small ball 5 in the regular season mainly.
If I see LeBron play small ball 5 at age 40,
Go ahead and put
we're
Jared
doomed.
at the small ball 5. I'll let him
Yeah,
sit
but that's
there
more
all
of
day.
a
That's
playoff.
more realistic.
Well, hold up.
That I agree.
In
That's
the
realistic.
playoffs, LeBron would be more of a small ball
Yeah,
5.
yeah.
In the regular season, Vando would be that for 8 to 10 minutes, let's say. And the other 8 to 10 minutes is Christian Wood or
I
someone
will
you picked
say
up at
if
the
Jared
deadline.
Vanderbilt is a small ball 5, it is matchup dependent. But if I see JJ pull that lineup up against the Nuggets, I turn the TV
Oh,
off.
of course not. You can't put Vando on Nikola Jokic. You put someone like LeBron or Rui, probably Rui. But I think the biggest thing is for the Lakers, it's not the second big, it's the shot creation. It's the perimeter dynamicism to break down a defense and create mass advantages the way most contenders can consistently.
If there's anything that I would be positive about, would be that type of opportunity for the Lakers. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, pick and roll. Of course, Austin Reeves has the capabilities to ball handle. And of course, D'Angelo Russell.
If that's the case, then why did those two defer to Austin Reeves in the playoffs oftentimes?
Oftentimes,
Frequently. Too
When?
much. Too much.
what, a
Relative
couple
to
of times?
Relative to superstars like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic, seeing
Shea will never
LeBron...
defer to J-Dub.
Yeah, seeing LeBron and co. defer to Austin Reeves to create offense in the perimeter.
LeBron James can do whatever he wants with the basketball
Yeah,
to create.
but he doesn't have the same stamina.
And
a
then
guy that's
people get
22
and then
does.
people are yelling at LeBron that he needs to find a way to incorporate AD more into the offense.
Yeah, because
They did ice AD out when he
They
was.
did. They
going
had
berserk.
to, because if you watch the game, he was getting double and triple teamed.
Yeah, but they weren't
Talking about
trying to do
LeBron.
anything to get him out of them situations.
I agree, and that's where I look at Darvin. Draw something up.
Somebody's open.
So, Riv, who's your underrated team?
My underrated team is Denver. And I think I picked Denver because I do think they're getting a lot of slack for not bringing KCP back, for bringing in Russell Westbrook, for having kind of like a pretty much blind faith on their bench. And I think for the most part, it's understandable. You know, we've seen Golden State kind of do the 2-timeline thing. And it's not the same, but it's similar. And it didn't work for them, you know, coming off a championship. They didn't come off a championship, but, you know what I'm saying, coming off a championship, they tried in the youth. It didn't work. For Denver, it's kind of a cap situation that they kind of have to do that. I like the young players that they have. Julian, I like Payne Watson as a defender. He does need to improve the three-point shot, or he will end up like Jared Vanderbilt. But I do like Julian as a shooter. I do like Westbrook off the bench in spurt minutes. I would have loved Darren Holmes, but he obviously tore his Achilles or ACL, I forgot what it was. So he's going to be out for the year. You love Dario Saric. I'm not the biggest fan of Dario Saric, but I think the starting five is still one of the best starting fives in the league. I do believe Christian Brown is going to be able to fit nicely with them. Yeah. I do think you still have Jamal, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., the Joker, still one of the best starting fives in the league. That pick threw me off. It's really, honestly, I'm interested to see how MPJ comes in. And does he ever improve his game? Is that going to be a thing that plays a part this year? Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, how does he come in and affect this game? Yeah. How many spurt minutes are they going to have with Jamal in the bench or the Joker in the bench? I'm going to be excited to see that, but I do think they're underrated in the sense that people don't think they're still contenders. And I think that's just wrong. I think they can still go in. They can beat the OKC team. I think they can still beat the Lakers team. I think they can still – they just went 2-7 with Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota got otherworldly better to where they just are outright better than Denver. No, I think that's still another 6-7 game masterclass that we'll get. You know, and I think Denver is a team that is still getting overlooked. And listen, they got the best player in the world. They still have their core starting five with them. Yeah. If they can just get solid production from who I believe in Julian Strawther and Payne Watson and other guys, I think they'll still be a fine. I think people are kind of over-exaggerating the losses that they have.
No, I agree, because I think Christian Brown is going to have a great year. He played better defense on Anthony Edwards than KCP did.
A lot stronger.
And, yeah, all the traits that he has, like he can be a high-level defender. He just has to shoot and be a consistent three-point shooter. My underrated team is the Sacramento Kings. They missed the playoffs last year after a magical year where they were the 3rd seed, and they finally made the playoffs after a huge drought. I think with them getting DeMar DeRozan, it just adds a lot of shot creation. I know that we kind of view this team as like the team of misfits because they have Sabonis and DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox. But the way that DeMar DeRozan plays, you add another shot creator to this team. Keegan Murray had a down year last year, but was one of the best three-point shooters as a rookie, and he shattered three-point records as a rookie for being a rookie. And then Keon Ellis last year, just getting him when he was inserted to the lineup, they were top 10 in defensive rating. Like Keon Ellis is an elite point of attack defender, and if you have him, who he shot the three ball really well last year, with Keegan Murray, De'Aaron Fox improved from 3 last year. If you can have those three shooting the three ball well, with DeMar DeRozan and Sabonis, who they aren't 3-point shooters, but DeMar is a great mid-range shooter, and then off the bench you have Kevin Huerter, who he's an elite 3-point shooter. Last year he had a down year as well. I just think there's a lot of Malik Monk, 6th man of the year. There's just a lot of room for growth with the Kings because last year their season was kind of riddled with some injuries. Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray regressed from 3, and those were guys that they counted on 2 seasons ago.
Kevin Huerter scares me.
Yeah, but I think Kevin Huerter's inconsistent, but he showed that he can really get hot, and I feel like he should be at least a 38% 3-point shooter.
I agree.
And I think the Kings are getting underrated. I think they're probably going to make the playoffs again. You know, right now, I feel inclined to say they're going to be a top 6 seed. I think this team is going to be really damn good. And I love the DeMar DeRozan signing. Like, I think that was super underrated. I know it wasn't the greatest fit, but I think he's going to mean so much to that team.
I was going to say, leadership-wise, that's going to be a huge add.
The Kings are such a weird team because from the talent perspective, they got a lot better. But I do just wonder, and it's a curious case of how it all fits or clicks together. Like, the reason I'm higher on the Lakers, because I think they can kind of sync skill sets well enough to where it's matching well, and then they can hit the ground running and really have the perfect complement. DeMar DeRozan's just a really challenging player to build around and fit other guys around, and the same can be said for Sabonis. And I feel like for those two to both be playing off the ball, and De'Aaron Fox is trying to run action with some of these guys, I'm not going to say it's going to be a bad fit, but it's not going to be a seamless one. And in the Western Conference, the best teams in the regular season, the ones who are consistently churning out wins and runs because they have a system that works. I don't know what the Kings system is, and I also don't know what their identity now is.
I don't disagree with you because of the fact of you have DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis that really don't shoot the three-point ball. So how is that spacing going to look? Because you know DeMar and Sabonis are going to be on the court, especially in closing minutes. You know that. Well, the one silver lining there is you do have two players that you can trust down the stretch of games, although De'Aaron Fox wasn't the same level that he was the year before when he was the inaugural clutch player of the year. DeMar DeRozan last year was the clutch player of the year. So there is silver lining there, but the spacing does become a concern, especially if Keegan Murray doesn't get back to how he looked in his rookie season. Of course, Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, those are two great adds. Probably the steal of the season, of the offseason, outside from Caruso getting traded for Josh Giddey, was Malik Monk signing back for the contract that he did. That all surprised us. We thought that he'd hit the open market and that he would draw a lot more money. There are a lot of great, talented players on this team. A team that I flirted making my most underrated as well. But it's the idea of the spacing that kind of keeps me from going all in on this team, from being my most underrated, because I can see them being a playoff team. That is in the realm of possibility. But there are so many great teams in their tier. Like I look at the Grizzlies, I would put them in their tier. I would put the Lakers in their tier. Even on a lower extent, I put the Warriors in that tier as well. Pelicans, it depends on if they're healthy or not. I feel like I would have them at the top of all that bunch. But there's so many teams in that middling spot that it's going to be hard for the Kings to just kind of separate themselves from the pack and be a top 6 lock. That's kind of my hesitation with that because of the personnel. But other than that, you're not too far off.
Most overrated team in the West. Rev, you can start.
You're gonna hate mine.
Lakers?
It's the Pelicans.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Yeah, it's not for lack of talent, because I think they have a shit ton of talent. I think they can go 9-10 deep, but that 9-10 deep includes no big man. They don't have a single big man on the roster. Wait and see.
Fair.
Wait and see. And even then, who's his backup?
No one.
Yeah,
Daniel Tice. They might start Daniel Tice.
Wow.
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zion is great. I don't.
Slim down.
I think he's great. I think Trey Murphy and Herb Jones is a fine, dynamic wing duo in the league.
Sex.
I think CJ McCollum had a great year last year shooting the ball from 3. I think Brandon Ingram is the kind of weird one in all this because he didn't get his money. He didn't show up to that Pelicans friend camp thingy. And, how is he going to fit with this unit? I think if they trade him, they can get a big. They'll be fine because you still have Trey, you still have Herb, you still have Zion. You have DeJounte now, you have CJ. It's not terrible. And if you get a big man for him, would help you a lot. But for me, it's just health. For this team, it's always been about health. And I think last year we saw health really derailed this team. Unfortunately, Zion did not play in the playoffs. Sadly, we wanted to see his first time in the playoffs. And then Brandon Ingram was just awful. But also another one, dealing with injury. Yeah. Again, this team is always the year before riddled with injury. Yeah. So for me, it's just lack of big man depth. Obviously, you brought in another dominant ball handler in DeJounte Murray. How is that going to mesh with the units? I'm excited to see how this all plays. And like you said, I want to see how this all syncs together. And then, of course, health. Health for this team is as big as it is for the Clippers, in my opinion, because this team has walked in no playoffs with Zion multiple times. Mm-hmm. So that's really a thing for me where I feel like it's hard for me to say they're overrated, but when it comes to the middle of the season, we're talking about the Pelicans as one of the best teams in the league, and then it hits a point where we just completely forget about them, or the playoffs come in and we're saying the same thing again. They're injured. They don't have Zion. Unfortunately, this is not going to be another year of seeing them at their full potential.
Yeah.
It's just an odd fit.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me. You talk about DeRozan with the Kings. I think the Pelicans have 2 of those type of dudes, like Brandon Ingram and DeJounte Murray. And I want there to be one season where the Pelicans build a roster around Zion that makes complete sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you have a true point guard that can defend and that can hit threes. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones are perfect next to Zion, so they would stay in the starting lineup. And then you have an actual center like a Brook Lopez or Miles Turner, somebody who can defend and they can also shoot and they can do a couple more things on the offensive side of the ball. I just want to see a team that fits Zion. And I think that the Pelicans, they haven't gone all in on that yet because they can't trust him to be healthy. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. That's why they're in acquiring talent mode, just a bunch of players that don't really fit together. And let's just see, because we don't know if our best player can stay healthy, but this team just doesn't fit. And that's why I think they're overrated.
And that's the Zion dilemma. Like, I would love for nothing more than to see him have a Kawhi run where he stays healthy for an entire year, because that team could be dangerous. But if you're David Griffin, if you bottom out because Zion gets hurt, there's a good chance you lose your job. So if I'm in his shoes, I'm trying to prepare for the event that Zion is injured. And I think that's why for so long they kept Jonas Valanciunas and they kept all of these guys that didn't make complete sense, but it was kind of the backup plan in the event Zion likely did get hurt. So that way they wouldn't completely bottom out. And that's what makes the Pelicans a paper tiger in the West, because they have so much talent. And defensively, while a lot of these guys, like their top 4 guys, are all offensive minded, you've got Herbert Jones, you've got DeJounte, who can defend at a much higher level than what he's been the last 2 years. But it just comes down to the fact that your 2 best players have serious injury red flags. And then, like you highlighted, there's not a center here. And in the Western Conference, you're going up against Minnesota and Denver, the 2 best teams.
So even
OKC with Chet, and they're a big team. The Lakers are another like top 5 team. To have
Sacramento, the fuck? They don't have a big for anybody.
To have no center, like Daniel Tice is maybe your best option. That is,
they have to make a move.
And Brandon Ingram is the move, but his market is so low right now.
Yeah, we thought, and we've spoken about so many times that potentially Jared Allen
moved him for Clint Capella, like no, just for something to get out there.
But who are we trading?
Brandon Ingram
for Clint Capella?
Just like
that's like 25th best center of the game.
Bro, you can't find anything better. You're sitting there with the 60th best center. You're about to start him.
I think
that's why Jared Allen
won acquire Wayne him for Jared Allen.
You're so trolling. They're not giving up Jared
Allen.
No, they're not.
They're not. But I'm saying that's at least more reasonable than fucking Clint
I'm telling you,
Capella.
I'm telling you the market.
You're getting hosed.
Brandon Ingram is the market. It's low.
Or you try and convince the Jazz to trade you Walker Kessler.
Yeah.
Even then, Walker just was a bench player. Well, not a starter for the Utah Jazz.
But you go to the Pelicans, you're getting minutes because there's actually a spot for you.
He's a tricky one because I don't know what's going on over there in Utah.
I get it. There's been definitely some negative.
Nice.
You were great that first year.
Last year, he was second in the league in blocks behind who? Victor Wembanyama.
Blocks aren't an indicator of defense.
But he's a high-level defense rim protector at the same exact time.
Good. He's
Opponent shot 8% worse at the rim when he was defending.
I believe.
Why do you think the Jazz want to move on from him?
Because his offensive game is so limited.
It's in year 2.
I think they want a more versatile, offensively driven center like Chet Holmgren. Because in their offense, it's
you don't think the
5 on
Pelicans don't want to clog the lane if they have Zion and they have Walker?
They don't want the poor man's Rudy Gobert, and that's a fear.
Yeah.
Who are your overrated teams?
So my overrated team is me not trying to be disrespectful, more so acknowledging that there is definitely a deficiency on this team. And this is one of the 4 or 5 contenders in the Western Conference. And mine would be Minnesota. I say Minnesota is overrated for the idea that the offense is a genuine concern for me. Doesn't really have consistent 3-point shooting. And having to rely on Anthony Edwards, although reasonable and fair, he's one of the best 2 guards in basketball, one of the top 10 one of the top 13 to 14 players in the association. It's unfair to ask him every single season to go into the postseason and be a playoff raiser as a jump shooter. You need more spacing. Correct, thank you. A riser as a 3-point jump shooter, as a jump shooter as a whole. He was a great mid-range jump shooter. He was a great 3-point jump shooter in the postseason. You need more spacing around him. And you go and you bring in Rob Dillingham in the draft. That was a great addition. But in year 1, are we just going to automatically assume that this guy is a 37 to 40% 3-point shooter? That's where I have my concerns and reservations. It's in the realm of possibility because he does have a great skill set as a 3-point shooter in Rob Dillingham, but he does have a smaller frame. I wonder if they're just going to minimize his role to just being a 3-point spot-up shooter. That's where also you're hindering his development. As a rookie, that's fair to ask of him. You saw that with Case and Wallace. That's in the cards. Defensively, this is going to be an amazing defensive team. But where my concerns do really our majority of my concern stems from is the lack of offensive talent that is on this team because they were so limited in what they could do this offseason, which is why the Rob Dillingham move is as great and as needle moving as it is. But I don't know if bringing in a rookie automatically improves the ceiling of your offense this drastically, especially in year one. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
All good. Go ahead.
I think Terrence Shannon could play an even bigger role than Dillingham this year. Off the bench, has a pretty versatile athletic wing.
Okay.
So that's like two guys that kind of X factors that can be huge positives, or guys that you can't trust, which then creates a new hole. But
I think Rudy also not being able to catch the ball.
if he could catch a pass,
It's the offense.
that'd be helpful.
Offense as a whole for Minnesota is a
'Cause it's
genuine
like,
concern.
you shoot the gaps, and it's like you see Rudy. It's like, hey, I want to pass it to you.
Amazing
you are
ball.
there.
Yeah.
You can't
But
trust him.
are you gonna catch this shit? I don't know. So I'm gonna just shoot this stuff at.
And also, when Karl Anthony Towns is on, damn it, he can be great. But when he's off, there's an obvious correlation of when he plays great, you win basketball games, and when he plays like shit, you have not a chance. And we saw that in the WCF.
What are we getting from Jaden McDaniels this year?
He has to take another step as an offensive player.
He just
Any
has to
type
shoot
of
well.
step.
He needs to shoot
Agreed.
better than 32%.
Mike Conley's gonna slowly, not slowly, but
yeah.
win the
Who's
down.
your overrated team, John?
This team does not get any hype, but I think they're overrated because they're going to miss the playoffs this year. And they won 50 games last year. That's Los Angeles Clippers. They've got Harden. They've got Kawhi. I look at the state of this Western Conference, and I look at this team specifically, and I see injury red flags with Kawhi, of course. And I think for as good as Harden is now in this stage of his career, he's going to be overburdened as a shot creator. And with the supporting cast around him and the defense slowly declining, it could be the last year for Tyronn Lue, and I think the Clippers are pretty close to blowing it up.
Can I make the argument that you made for why the Pacers aren't overrated for the Clippers? Who's talking about them?
No one.
Right? That's why I wouldn't look at the Clippers as an overrated team.
Absolutely no one.
Especially after losing Paul George for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No one's really looking at the Clippers and having huge playoff aspirations
But
for them.
most people pencil them as a playoff team.
Well, if
right?
Kawhi and James Harden play 60 to 65 games together, they'll get the playoffs.
At minimum playing.
I don't even know. They're getting the
Lock 6? That's
so.
tough.
If they play
Riv.
65 games together, are they better than the Kings? Or are they better than the
They
Pelicans?
can be.
Are they? What would you, if I held your head to the fire? What would you say? I would.
Are
I
you
think-
telling
I
me?
don't know.
Are you
I don't
telling
know.
me that the Pelicans are healthy too?
Yeah, both teams
I'm
are healthy.
taking
I'm saying
Pelicans.
Both teams are healthy. I'm taking the Kings.
And the
I'm
Kings
definitely
fell
taking the
off
Grizzlies.
because Malik Monk got injured last season.
I don't know. If Harden
Losing
and
Paul George is tough.
I agree, but the way Kawhi was hooping,
He was
last
balling.
of course.
I think they're still a playoff team. I don't know if they'll.
Can't trust it though.
That's why it's really just health with both teams. I trust Kawhi more than Zion in the regular season. I really do.
I agree.
Because I think if he plays, he's a better player than Zion. So
Maybe.
In 2024,
I don't know. Now?
he was a better player than him last year. But,
was he?
I think
Slightly.
Kawhi was a better player than him last year.
Slightly. But
I'll agree,
Kawhi was
but marginal.
I mean, sure, but I think Kawhi, like in just terms of a 3-level score,
Yeah,
Kawhi
that's it.
clears.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and both of them defend. Like Kawhi's not a terrible defender. He's not the same on-ball defender as he is. Still a really good off-ball defender. Still slightly good on-ball. Playmaking, he isn't really giving you much, but just
Zion fake, good
Zion's a
playmaker.
better-
Zion is,
better
but
playmaker.
just as a scorer, I don't think it's close.
I
And that's
think
the
there's
difference
a
for me.
better argument to be
close.
made that the Clippers are underrated more so than they're overrated.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if Harden and Kawhi are healthy the entire
Just give
year,
me 60 games. That's all I need.
I think they're
What
going to
are
be a playoff team.
They're not overrated
18
because there's
maybe?
no expectation. Do you have legitimate expectations for them?
just the playoffs.
That's it, right?
I mean, it's not. They're not bad. I mean, Harden, Kawhi, Terrence Mann with Derrick
Norman
Jones
Powell,
Jr.
Yep.
and
Derrick Jones-
Zubac.
Derrick Jones Jr. not playing off Luka, I could see him easily falling out that
Well,
rotation.
Harden, he's playing off of Harden now.
Yeah, that was
True.
crazy to say.
I still don't think. Playing off of Luka, though, is a different level. It's a different tier. of
Kawhi
player.
uplifts
Yeah, but
dudes.
Harden can play in a similar way that can take advantage of Derrick Jones Jr.'s strengths.
True, but Harden's going to play a lot more off
Kawhi
the ball.
shot 50,
I feel
40
like.
to 88 last
Yeah.
year.
Also, what Harden can do is when he drives, defense collapses on him.
I think they'll be
he's going to
better.
throw the hoop.
I just don't think he creates any.
John, I don't
anywhere
think-
enough separation.
I don't think they'll be worse defensively this year. I think they'll
What
be
makes you say
better.
that?
Because I think they had. I think when you gave up, you lost Paul George for sure.
Got Derrick
but
Jones
you
Jr.
brought in
though.
Derrick Jones Jr. You still have Terrence Mann. You still have Kawhi. Zubac is a really, really underrated
Yeah.
rim protector. I don't think they'll. I think if not better, they'll be hovering around the same defensive unit as last year.
But the main transaction was losing PG and then replacing him with Derrick Jones.
No, I think the offense is going to be more of an issue.
Yeah.
I think that's where the loss.
Is Harden
will be.
back?
Right.
He's a good player still.
But
what if-
is he back to 20 points?
Well, I think
20.
this
He'll
is
give you 20 and 12.
Ooh.
This
Well,
is
20
the
and
year
20,
that
10.
we're going to see Harden. He's going to have the keys to the offense again and have that
Yeah.
freedom. And I think we could see a big time year from Harden. To wrap up the show, top 10 centers in the NBA. Starting off with number 10 round table. Riv, you can start first.
So my number 10 guy, I'm sitting pretty, is Jared Allen.
Mine is Karl Anthony Towns.
My number 10.
I forgot that.
This is I tied these two players up. It is Domantas Sabonis.
I forgot that.
10?
He's low.
Oh my God! Really? Just because he's not good defending?
I so forgot that.
That's not the main reason why.
Carl Anthony Towns? Yeah, how could you?
It's okay.
Cat's a power forward for me. Even though he's truly a
We had
center.
a forwards list and I did not have Cat on it.
Okay.
And I
My,
don't think,
my 10 is Alperen Şengün.
So then, if I'm including Cat in this, I'm knocking down Sabonis to 11 and then Şengün to 10. I think Şengün's a better player as a scorer.
my
He's a better
God.
rim protector. Sabonis is easily the better rebounder, but I value what...
You said better playmaker? You said you're taking...
No, I said
sorry.
Şengün's the better rim protector. He got a lot better in that aspect last year. He's also the better
Bro,
scorer.
you're going to hate the shit out of my list.
So I would rather have Şengün.
Okay, so my 10 is still Jared Allen.
Okay.
My 9, who's your 10?
My 10 is Alperen Şengün.
My 9 is Alvin Şengün.
My 9 is Alperen Şengün as well.
My 9 would be Karl Anthony Towns.
My 9 is Carl Anthony Towns.
My 8 is Karl Anthony Towns.
My 8 is Chet Holmgren.
Yep.
I don't think he's top 10 yet.
My 8 is
Whoa.
also... Whoa.
But you just said Alperen Şengün's better than him.
That is
We had this
insane.
whole conversation early in the season about Chet being
You're right,
better.
you're right. Şengün has to go.
Yeah, OD.
It's a shit.
But both can be there. Where do you have Rudy?
Jared Allen has to go.
Yeah, OD.
Sorry, Jared.
Disrespect from you.
I asked a question.
Go, John.
All right, number 7?
You were
Jared
at
Allen's
number 8.
12, and that's okay.
Number 8 for me is Chet Holmgren.
11.
What's number 8 for you?
Number 8 for me is Chet Holmgren.
Okay, so 10 for me. I'm sorry, forgot some names. It's a lot of guys. 10, Şengün. 9, Chet. 8, Cat. 7,
Good list.
Rudy.
7 for me is Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay.
7 for me is also Rudy Gobert.
7 for me is KP.
6 for me is Rudy. I mean, KP, I'm sorry.
Love
Riv
that.
and I
actually.
might have the same exact list.
6 for me is Domantas Sabonis.
6 is...
That's what the fuck I'm talking about,
6
Joel.
for me is Kristaps Porzingis, and I'm pretty confident. Kristaps is the way more useful player to me. He's more versatile, more adaptable, team to team. He just does a lot more of what you need. Way better rim protector.
He's just unhealthy, unfortunately.
Way better floor spacer.
Listen, it's
That's
the thing.
the one
Yes.
reason KP wasn't higher on my list.
Yeah, and
That's-
this is the thing. And,
I'm not valuing that much.
and this is why, like, KP, listen, I know he's very valuable. He can fit more teams and stuff. But the Celtics just won the championship without him. He was unhealthy for the entirety of the playoffs, and they won without him. And that's a credit to the Celtics and how great they are. But it's
about game
also
one?
it's also
It was
like
viral.
Kristaps Porzingis, you cannot rely on him, and that is something that we got to take into account. Like I'm not gonna give Porzingis bonus points just for being better in a role where Sabonis is giving his heart and soul all 82 games for his team. And I feel like that matters. And Sabonis, he
Who
might
led the league in triple doubles?
That's true.
Who led the
but
league in double doubles?
Sabonis is also someone you
Respect him.
cannot count on in the playoffs either. He has
That's
zero playoff
funny as
resume.
shit. You actually can't.
I mean,
In the
he's not
bubble,
wrong.
in the bubble, he had surgery on his foot, and then in the one playoff series he played, in the one playoff run, he did nothing.
Hey, you're not wrong, but also
That matchup was terrible.
If Domantas Sabonis
Come on,
would
Rudy, huh?
Tough.
if Sabonis was on the
Fine.
Celtics, he would have been fine. If Sabonis was on the Celtics, he would have done his thing.
Yeah.
If
Like-
Sabonis was on the Celtics, he's celebrating a chip right now.
Shit, you put me on the Celtics. It might
The
still
last
be
time we
celebrating
seen
right now.
Kristaps Porzingis have expectations on him where he was a top 2 player on the team with the Mavericks, he was not good in the playoffs.
But I don't think Sabonis should be a top 2 player in your team.
That year against the Clippers, year 1.
Yeah, he was
really good.
amazing
No, he
before
was.
tearing his
He was.
meniscus.
he was.
All right, my 6 is also Sabonis.
My 5 is Wemby.
My 5 is Rudy Gobert.
At least you stand on business.
My 5 is also Wemby. This is insane.
My 5 is Bam Adebayo.
My 4 is Bam Adebayo. We have the same list, bro.
My 4 is Bam Adebayo.
Join the fucking
My
party.
4 is Bam
Oh, you haven't said
Adebayo.
Wemby yet.
No, I haven't.
Oh my god. Oh wait, you don't have Wemby in your top 10?
No, he's top 3.
By the way, can I say something?
Yo!
You're missing somebody.
Yeah,
You're missing
you
somebody.
have to be missing
No,
somebody.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Who
3
am I missing?
is, 3 for me is
Chet.
AD.
You have Chet off.
Oh,
yours.
I have Anthony Davis as power forward. That's probably the
that's-
difference.
AD, I have a center.
You didn't have him in
Yeah.
your forward list when we did it.
Brother.
Yeah, it's
He's
good.
so
have
far
him-
away from being a power
Yeah,
forward.
No,
he's
you
so-
didn't name
so
him in
much.
your
Yeah,
forward
but he's
list.
more of a forward.
He's not.
He's a center in the state.
Yeah, now he is, but
He's been a center on the Lakers.
he
for a
wants to
minute.
play power
2018, he
forward.
was power forward.
I always want him to play power forward because
Well,
that's when
AD
he
is
was.
a center on mine. He's at 3.
Yes. My 4 is Victor Wembanyama. My 3 is Anthony Davis.
My 4 is Victor. My 3 is AD.
Well, the top 3 for me is Jokic, Embiid, and Wemby. Obviously, if Anthony
Yeah.
Davis is a center for me, I'm putting him in the top 3, and
Right.
Wemby is 4. He's ahead of Adebayo and all them other dudes to me. Rudy Gobert, we were going to have a segment on him, but, whatever. We don't have to. I just wanted to share these numbers because he's 5th on my list. When you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves and Rudy Gobert and the slack that he got from Theo Pinson, Derek Lively on his podcast, saying zero reason he should have been on the court because of how much he gets paid. Shaq recently said that he's the worst player in the NBA, and then Ben Simmons is also a bum.
That's actually really fucking
Rudy
funny.
Gobert in the 2024 playoffs among all Timberwolves players. First in point differential at plus 22.6. First in points per possession on offense at plus 14.1. Second in points per possession on defense at minus 8.5. Rudy Gobert off the court in the playoffs. The Timberwolves had a 106 offensive rating and a 110.3 defensive rating. When he was a 118.9 defensive rating. When he was on the court in the playoffs, they had a 120.4 offensive rating and a 110.3 defensive rating. When you look at the most field goal attempts attempted on him in the playoffs, Jokic shot 52.3%. He attempted 44 field goals. Kyrie Irving attempted 21 field goals, and he shot 28.6% on Rudy. Jamal Murray attempted 17. He shot 41% on Rudy.
Not bad.
Devin Booker attempted 17. Booker shot 35% on Rudy. KD shot 15 field goals. He shot 40% on Rudy. Bradley Beal shot 15 field goals. He shot 46.7% on
Respect him.
Rudy. But they also were giving him these ISOs. They wanted Bradley Beal to get these inefficient shots. And Luka, 11 field goal attempts, 73%.
Luka owns him.
So Luka was cooking him, and I feel like it's unfair to just paint an entire narrative about Rudy Gobert because Luka Doncic, who is probably the best player in the world, cooked him. Like
His offense also just stinks.
yeah, but Luka Doncic is doing that to everybody. And yes, Rudy Gobert's offense stinks, but when he was on the court, they were 14 points better with him on offense than they
Those
were
screen
when he was
assists
without.
matter, I
People
guess.
would have hated Ben Wallace, man.
Would they have?
Offense, not that good. Defense, otherworldly.
Yeah, that's
true.
So who's your 5-4-3? So if you add AD,
So it would be
It's Bam, Wemby, AD.
it would Jokic, Embiid, AD, Wemby, Bam. That's the top 5, and then
cool.
Gobert would be a 6.
Oh, okay.
Riv, I want to read you my list and see if you have anything different. 10, you didn't have this different for sure. 10, Sengun
I have Sengun.
at 10.
Yes, I changed it.
9, Karl Towns.
No, I have Chet there.
8, Chet.
I have Cat.
That's it. That's the difference.
Yeah. 7, Gobert. 6, Porzingis. 5, Wemby. 4, Bam. 3, AD. 2, Embiid. And 1, Jokic.
Yes.
Now,
So
I
we
think
have 8 of the 10, same exact order.
I knew you were gonna be here with Bam, man.
Of course.
the player that's going to jump the most in this list is Alperen Sengun at the end of the year.
Probably Wemby, brother.
Well, Wemby's already 3
Wemby
for
will go
me.
from like 5 to
Oh,
like
yeah,
3.
yeah.
I don't think he's going to jump Embiid
For
and
me, he
Jokic.
fuck around jump from 5 to 3.
One that can actually also jump. You say Sengun. On the opposite side, Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
If he continues to develop that offensive game and he continues to be
One
an
guy
anchor
who-
on defensive side.
Who might really drop is KP. If he continues to be really
Yes.
injured,
Yeah.
he might really drop on
Also,
this list.
my pride and joy.
Sabonis.
Yeah.
He's not on my list.
Well, he's my pride. Well, that's casual.
Who's he better than?
He's better than.
Bless you.
Sengun?
Thank you.
He's
Think that's
better
a
than
clear?
Sengun. He's better than Chet. He's
Lost
better
me.
than Cat. He's better than KP.
At what?
I don't think Sabonis is better than Chet.
Offense.
Sabonis is probably the worst pluggable big out of all those except
Yeah, he's the
probably
least
Sabonis.
portable player. for
That's
sure.
Sengun.
And Cat.
You know, if Cat showed up more, I would say no.
I know.
But I think Cat's a better player.
Yeah.
He can't dribble.
Sabonis really can't
Cat
either.
can. Cat can
He
against
can dribble
bigs.
better.
Sabonis can handle the ball.
God, that
for a
fake.
big-
That's-
seven-
that-
yo,
We're not
weak
saying that he
ass.
has
Yo,
a fucking
Cat's
dribble
tweak
hand
handle.
off.
We're not saying all that.
No, Cat legitimately for
I don't care
every
if a big man can't dribble, by the way.
every time that he drives is a turnover, pretty much.
Well, that's because Gilbert's staying in the lane. When Gobert wasn't there, Cat in 2022's biggest, what he did so well is driving off centers into the lane, going hard left
If
drives.
Sabonis
He's a
isn't
good enough
throwing
ball
an
handler.
elbow, he's struggling.
Yeah. Sabonis
He has no real post game.
is
Because he doesn't have a jumper.
No, post. He's
Yeah, he
just
has
a back
Also,
down
how
merchant to hope
how
he gets
many
open.
players on this list can you tell me that when they ran their offense through them specifically, they had the number 1 offensive rating in NBA history for
Well,
that
it's him
time?
and Fox.
I mean, I don't-
Well, Sabonis was
Yeah.
the hub of
Here's
the
the
offense.
thing.
Not really.
If this was regular season only,
Triple
I would
handles
have.
matter.
They do. I agree.
They do. If this was only regular season, I would have Sabonis in the top 6. But because I'm
Yeah,
factoring
he's definitely
because
top
I'm
6.
factoring in
He
how
is.
his style
Regular
of play
season.
translates to the playoffs, I have
KP doesn't play in the postseason.
That's fair. KP's
still-
a better player though.
He's still done some shit in the playoffs.
Is he
In
not?
small
Has
stretches
he?
before getting hurt. Here's the thing. On this list, Chet and KP are going to flip spots in like a year or two. And then the rest of that's going to stay
Chet's
relatively
gonna
the
jump.
same.
I believe you.
Yeah,
Call me crazy, but if KP was in Sacramento right now, I think they would be better.
I agree. Yeah.
And if Sabonis was on the
You fix a
Celtics,
lot.
he'd be celebrating a
If anybody
championship.
was on the Celtics, they'd be celebrating a championship.
If you replace
That's
my
not-
nobody,
that's
they'd
a
be
very
celebrating
easy place to say
championship.
that for.
I don't know. KP was on Washington. They were still ass.
They were look at their roster. They were
Okay.
awful.
They
Like we
won,
put
like,
Miles
35
Turner in the
games.
fucking Celtics.
The
they're
Kings
winning a
were
chip.
a relevant lottery team, and then
You put
Sabonis gets
LeBron on
traded
that
there, and
Wizards
then
team,
there
I
were
don't
3
think they make
seeds.
And then he
playoffs,
goes to the
but-
playoffs and did what?
He
Against
played
Draymond.
against Draymond Green.
Drew, you put LeBron on
And
the
also,
Wizards, they
Sabonis
make
didn't
playoffs.
play as terrible as people
Fucking
make it out to be.
LeBron.
You put them on
Sabonis
the Wizards,
wasn't
they
terrible.
don't
Terrible.
make the playoffs.
Sabonis wasn't
Stop.
always matched
Be
up
real,
against
stop.
Draymond Green. I
It was
wish I
him and
remembered
Looney.
that
Yes,
series.
it was him and
He
Looney.
literally couldn't do
Yes.
nothing against either one of those guys.
They played
That's a
good
problem.
defense.
Kevon Looney ate his lunch.
Also, his lack of spacing was an issue for
Yeah.
them.
I think it's
They didn't have spacing.
Drew.
No, I'm talking about him. The fact that he
But
cannot stretch out.
Sabonis averaged 16, 11, and 5
shooting.
That's
40%.
so
on
ass.
50% from the field.
50%.
That's cute.
I don't
That's
think
so
that's I
dookie.
don't think that's a bad series.
I'm sure.
It took Steph Curry dropping 50 in Game 7.
Well,
Wow, I can't believe you
mean-
guys are forgetting what y'all watched.
Yeah.
It's actually embarrassing.
when
All because
the eye
Kevon
test was-
Looney had
No,
good
Sabonis
games.
looked objectively
He looked
much
more-
worse than the
yeah.
stats. We
Yeah.
know this.
Sorry, I'm box score watching.
You didn't even know the box score.
He helped me.
Yeah.
You didn't even know the
No,
box.
because I remember Sabonis
Sab-
playing bad in
That
that
is
series.
very
Yeah, like
true. He
Sabonis
looks-
was actually
he was
really
act- he
bad.
said-
in
he
that
was actually
series.
He
hurting
said
him.
16, 11,
You
and
were
5.
playing.
I'm like,
And 16,
yeah.
11, and 5. Isn't that a drop off from his regular season?
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah, like
he was
2
actively
points.
hurting their half court offense
Like 2 points.
because his play style does
50%
not
of the
translate
field.
well.
I mean, listen, they
Playoffs.
took
Show me
away
some.
the dribble handoff. from
Yeah.
him.
And then what did he do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just stood there
No,
and-
bro. They took away a dribble handoff, and he was done after that. You know how embarrassing that is? That's pretty embarrassing
still
for a
average.
big man.
He still found a way to average 16.
Cool.
And 11
He's
rebounds.
nuts.
11. No, he's gonna get the rebounds. That's never.
He's one of the best
rebounders.
rebounders in the
top-
league.
yeah, he's like a
Agree with
top
you.
2.
He's definitely.
And that
he got
matters.
stepped on.
And that
Jokic.
matters.
Yeah.
Sabonis.
Yeah.
What happened?
And he got stepped on. That shit injured him.
Yeah.
Hey, no, he got fucking sent to the underground.
No, listen.
Let's look at his game by
Rebounding
games.
matters, but floor spacing and rim protection are clearly more important, and he doesn't bring either of those 2 things.
Floor spacing and what?
Floor spacing and rim protection.
look at his
He's
games.
had
I
good
wanna see
defensive
the
moments,
exact-
like that
what did he
one. I
do?
think it was game 5 or 6. He defended very well against the Warriors.
Yo,
That's
Riff,
one game.
remember when you sent that defensive stat? Oh, jeez.
shit.
Remember when you sent that defensive stat and it had Jokic, Sabonis, and Nurkic? I'm just saying, maybe he's a good defender. There's some stats that prove it.
So his
Jokic, Sabonis,
game
and
log,
Nurkic.
he had
What a li-
he had 12
ragtag
first
crew.
game, 24 the second game, 15 the third game, 14 the fourth game, 21 the fifth game, 7 the sixth game,
Yeah.
and 22 the seventh game.
So game 6 fucked him.
Game 6,
That
well, he
was
had
the game
12
he
the
defended
first
well.
Yo, let him
He
cook.
defended very
game.
well
He
that
had 14
game.
points.
I heard some 20s in there.
Oh my god, bro! He was whatever. Like I'm not, you know, maybe I'm over exaggerating. Maybe you're undervaluing. Maybe I'm overvaluing.
Yeah,
Other
we
way
have
around.
different values.
What? No.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we were
maybe
talking about
we
that
can meet in
series.
the middle here and say
That's
he
why,
was,
6.
He
You're-
underperformed.
You're
slightly.
valuing durability and regular season performance. I'm really valuing the playoffs a little bit more low key.
That does matter for some teams though. Like for the Kings, their ability for the regular season probably matters.
I was going to say,
For
why
sure.
is Embiid 2 then?
Why is Embiid 2?
Because AD's been more reliable these last couple
I mean,
of seasons.
He's a fucking MVP.
Embiid is a historical regular
best.
season player,
He's arguably
And then
the
in
best
the
scorer.
postseason, he's fucking poo-poo caca.
but he got a lot better to prepare better for the
He's
playoffs.
arguably the best scorer in the league.
I've seen AD be a goat on a way to a chip.
That was so.
Well, no,
long
I'm saying
ago.
that. Embiid,
Hey,
Embiid
WCF
fixed
2
a
years
lot-
ago. Stop.
That was when
Embiid
COVID was
fixed
real.
a lot of things that he was struggling with to be a better player.
Embiid's not a superstar to you, though.
No,
He's not.
No.
Oh my
so
God.
I said that after he lost the Celtics.
He's not a top 10 player.
But then after
He
like
jumped back in.
after like 7-8 months later, when I saw him coming in way better shape, he notably developed
7-8
as a
months
passer. He was in tough shape in that second half of that playoff.
Okay.
But then he became way better as a passer, and then he became a more efficient scorer. Yeah, I started saying, he's a superstar.
Tatum
So
or
he went
Embiid?
from he's not in your top 10 to where he jumped all the
Well,
way back up.
No, I had him from like 10 to 4. 'Cause a lot of the guys regressed in that area.
Oh, okay.
Like guys like KD and LeBron, I'm like they haven't stepped up, and Embiid did step up, and the gap between them was kind of small. So then he climbed up like 5-6 spots.
Okay.
But I was also like pretty low on him after that Celtics series. So
But that's going to do it for episode 407 of the Pick a Side podcast. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.